Hello and welcome, I am Arumba, thank you for joining me. It's time for our Ask the Devs Almost Anything. No, not quite. Maybe not almost anything, but a lot of the things, hopefully. Okay, so, I'm almost caught up, almost there. You waited till the very last moment to resub, didn't you? Will we ever see the real Arumba instead of this actor? Maybe someday. Maybe I'll reveal myself as a robot cyborg. I just got a new copy of the mod, so I gotta real quick just do a quick keyboard shortcuts patcharoo, because, you know, I am me. I mean, it doesn't surprise anyone, does it? I mean, not really. I hope not. Didn't we just do this like the other day? I mean, come on. You know what to expect. So we want to see... Don't show identical items. Analyzation panel needs a shortcut. Yep, you need a shortcut for that too, and that too. Mm-hmm. I'm like 30 seconds away from being done with this. Okay, so I can see why there's no culture button for 6, because you've removed culture. Got it. We covered that last time. But this one, yeah, we're gonna change that. We're gonna change that. There's no culture, there's no states button. Got it. That one's fine. And the diplomacy button, no. Okay. Next, 2 files to go. Okay. Done. All right, we're live. We're good to go. Let's do this. Leroy. Oh yeah, right. I should probably load the game. Oh, forgot that I was working on the mod, trying to get it all squared away, so it wasn't loaded yet. All right, M&T 2.0. Let's do this. Speed is the essence of war. I remember when the, what was the TV? Not the TV show. There was a, I can't remember their name now. The rock, like the rock music that came out for EU4 at one point. It's like a heavy metal version of a lot of the Paradox songs. What is their name? Guns, Drums, and Steel? I don't think that's it. It was something else. What was it? Twitch chat will know, I'm sure. Alright, what do you guys think? I want to know what your thoughts are. Should we plan on using the in-game audio? Or should we use the other one? I do like the music in the M&T mod. Let's use the M&T music. Let's do that. Hopefully it doesn't go full church mode on me again. Alright, let's see if we can load up the game and not have it crash. YB Junie! Subbed with Twitch Prime. Archibald Duke Boy is subbed with Twitch Prime. That's weird. I'm seeing it in Twitch chat before I'm seeing it on my stream labels notification, so that's curious. Our nation rank has changed. Cool. So here's the game plan, guys. we're going to get our bearings straight, get into the game here, kind of stabilize a little bit. Remember what the hell we were doing last time we played. It has been 2 days since I played this this mod last. And then sometime in the next 15, 20 minutes or so, we're going to go ahead and grab the developers into a phone call. And we're going to go through a series of questions that have been submitted over the last couple of days and just kind of talk about the mod. And worst case scenario, we'll end up playing the game together. And they'll teach me their mystical ways and we'll somehow beat France. That's the game plan, right? So, okay. I was really tired and I streamed like an hour and a half longer than I expected to last time. So, good news is that the game seems to have loaded up just fine. I don't know what's changed in this patch since they did just push the newest version to me. Actually, it looks like they gave me like the dev clip or the the developers version. It's even fancier. I remember we had finally declared a war on Pisa, who pulled in some other nations up here, and I was kind of leaning towards peacing out with him, but then decided against it because there's a lot more money to be had in this province here. So, okay, all right. Well, without further ado then, I'm going to go ahead and first turn on my face cam because, why not, right? And then after that, we're going to invite Malorn and Sunwoo to the comms. Oh, lost the call. Let me try again.
Here we go, kids.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. So, this is my first time speaking with you. This is Malorn. Mm-hmm. All right, it's a pleasure to meet you. Just want to make sure you do know we're we're live right now.
We're very live. We are very
okay.
live.
I always feel like it's an appropriate place to start. Just make sure to remember that you are live. Remind people, even.
Always wise.
Yep. It's funny. Like the other night. It's a completely different field altogether. We were playing Factorio, and I was like, hey guys, I'm going to record this because we're playing with nuclear reactors. It's really cool. And they're like, yeah, okay, 15 minutes later, they completely forgot. Cussing it up like a storm, and it's just, it's funny. So, okay, so, and then also Sunwoo, who I have been speaking with for the last couple, week or so. You've been my contact after Demian had to kind of step aside, but it sounds like he's actually getting back into it more now, again.
Yeah, I think Damien has had a chance to take a vacation and actually play the game, and that is the best way to get back into modding for something. Like when I'm burned out, if you just play a bunch of the game, you're just like, oh, wait, this needs fixing, and I kind of want to make it better, and then you're back.
The other thing is he was really invested in the mod, and so he didn't really have time for anything, and so because he's a dad, he felt really guilty because he wasn't spending time with his kids. And so he accidentally was streaming on YouTube, accidentally started doing it, and then his daughter was there and they're having fun, and a whole bunch of people started watching and they actually liked it. So he got to have fun with his daughter, play the game, and have people watch him play and like it. So that seemed to be
daughter's co-hosting pretty much.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I watched part of his stream yesterday. He was doing coding on the fly while playing live on Twitch, and he played for like 7 hours straight. It's a 7-hour long video.
Oh, yeah.
So. And that was just part one of two. And by the way, unless this is going to upset the balance of the Force or something in the universe, he just mentioned that he'd like to join the call.
If he has the questions, that works for us.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you guys have his contact info on Skype. It's pretty easy to invite someone else to join.
I don't have his contact info.
Yeah, we don't Skype. We Slack.
Oh, okay. All right, let me see if I can remember how to do this then. I'll see if I can pull him into the call. Yeah, okay, there we go. That's pretty easy. So we're calling him right now. It's my actual first time talking to him for real. Hey, Demian, how's it going?
Yeah, hey. No, I was, I wanted to participate. I was kind of, doing a little bit of polish and stuff like that. So I think I missed the boat with all the questions and stuff like that. But I'll hang out and I'll probably just let Malorn and Sunwoo do most of the talking.
Okay. Well, great.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts. There's a couple of questions. It'll be good to have him on.
Yeah, I'll ask you.
Slack, get you the doc.
Yep, and then also if you'd like, just because I am in game and we will let some time pass and actually play and talk about the mechanics while it's up on the screen so people can see it if they've missed it. If you wouldn't mind, just go ahead and load up the stream and just mute it so you can see what's going on, and you'll also be able to see the questions that I'm going to put them up on the screen so know what we're talking about as well. So, I'm curious, what's changed since Tuesday?
There's like 50 things on the commit.
No, things he actually cares about, though. I don't think he cares about the fact that we've managed to find some problems. But we have been doing a lot of localization works, actually based on a lot of the stuff you found. I spent quite a while watching your stream and just being like, oh, he found something. Go fix while I still remember it. And then just going back and forth.
I just want
the zero-length songs, if you remember that.
I do,
yeah. The tooltip to the people like it, because you're like, hey guys, this should totally have a tooltip to tell me what the heck this is doing.
Nice. So I can actually listen to all these. How many of these songs at the bottom of this list are actually new? Do you know what track starts first? And where did all this music come from, by the way? Hopefully it's Creative Commons, right?
Oh, there's a modder on the forum named CIA Dude 2, and he's actually who did it.
Yep.
So how much do you know about the history of MEIOU and Taxes?
I remember.
We're getting ahead here. We got questions for this.
Yeah, there's a.
We'll actually get to that because that's a question about the music and stuff.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah, I remember Death and Taxes was a big deal in, was it Victoria 2 or EU3?
EU3.
EU3 was Death and Taxes. Why did they title
MEIOU,
change?
Actually, MEIOU and Death and Taxes. Actually, this is once again one of our questions, but really short. Basically, it's a combination mod. Luke W did Death and Taxes, and Gigo. I'm probably mispronouncing that horribly. Sorry, Gigo. It's French. I can't pronounce French. Did MEIOU, and the thing is that they combined with Europa Universalis 4 because they wanted to create a full mod. Death and Taxes was more about mechanics. MEIOU was more about map and like nation authenticity and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's really what happened. Luke was kind of feeling overwhelmed for it, and it was a good change because I got to admit our version control for Death and Taxes sucked, by which I mean we used a Dropbox.
Oof.
Yeah.
Instead of using like what is the thing you use these days? Is it like GitHub or something to compare?
We use a Git,
Yeah, cool.
Technically, Paradox doesn't want us to release that publicly, so we can't tell anyone what it is.
Yeah.
Because Paradox rules.
I remember they have a pretty strict enforcement policy about, you have to only can host your mods on the mod forum. Except then they also did the Steam workshop then, and so that kind of, it's like, well, does it really have to be posted on the forum? So,
it works.
Well, I mean, we have like, what, 90? I saw 97 questions in the list. I don't know if we're going to have time to get through every single one, especially because there's going to be people who want to ask questions live. But I suppose just in the interest of keeping things moving, we could just start with number 1, if you'd like.
Go for it. Okay,
let me see if I remember how to do this. Here we go. Bam! How do you pronounce MEIOU?
Well, you've heard me do it a couple of times. I'm not sure I'm the official one, but it is an acronym, and acronyms always change. I tend to go with MEIOU. Sunwoo, have you pronounced that differently ever?
Because we mostly type, and there's a whole bunch of people from different countries, it really doesn't have a specific pronunciation. So for some people it's MEIOU, some people it's MEIOU, some people it's MEIOU.
Oh, Meioux.
Some of us call it M&T. I was from the Death and Taxes team, so making sure to remember the taxes part is kind of important to me. But a bunch of people just go Meioux or whatever.
See, I opted to just start calling it M&T.
Yep.
Because I was really confused at first. I could have sworn I took French in like high school, and I was like, oh yeah, it's the word MEIOU, it means better. No, there's like an X and a couple different vowels in there. It's not the same letters at all.
Yeah.
So better in taxes? That would be an odd choice.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was Death and Taxes, and then it became MEIOU and Taxes, and I was like, well, I don't know what that means. So I suppose I'm guessing probably the very next question is like, what does it stand for, right? Let's see. Any idea when we get to play it? Okay, I guess that's probably the more important question, right?
As we've announced a couple of times, it's going to be available right after ParadoxCon, probably 2-3 days after. Maybe if we're feeling real ambitious and Gigo decides to, we might even release it live during ParadoxCon. Hard to say.
Okay, and just in case people aren't familiar, because not everyone keeps up with the news and stuff.
14th, basically.
May 14th. So that's 10 days from today's ParadoxCon. That's the start of the finish of the con. I can't go this year, so I don't know the dates.
That's the finish.
Okay,
I
so
can't go, Europe's sad.
probably after the 14th then. Okay, week and a half. That's pretty damn good. I didn't expect that. I thought you were still a month or two away after the surprise 1.21 release of... Like, they really pushed 121 out fast.
Yeah, that was a bit raw.
Yeah, raw. We'll go with that.
Yeah, every time I play it, I have to roll back to 1.20.1 because of the issues apparently that came up with 1.21.
You basically blew up the entire mod.
yeah.
Like, I mean, we loaded it up, and suddenly there were millions and millions of people crammed onto like remote desert islands, and we're like, what is going on here? So.
Okay.
Yeah, they kind of changed how variables work without telling anyone, and they never really explained how does the game handle divide by zero. So for people who don't know, it's divide by zero. You can't really do that. Mm-hmm. So there's different ways to code it. How it previously was, yeah, we're just going to multiply it by 1 and everything will be good. And that's like,
what?
We're going to divide by 0.001. So it's like, yeah, we're going to times things by 1,000, or is it by 10,000 effectively?
Anyway,
yeah, things got ugly
be
fast.
okay now. Hopefully within the next maybe 2-3 days we should be fully upgraded. Which
okay, so
pain.
So for the May 14th ish, around then ish release date, you're expecting it will be for 1.21, not for the one I'm playing on.
To be really fair, we are expecting it to be that. Now, if we run into something that drastically changes that, we're still working through the compatibility. We do have, of course, some dev copies working, but of course we're just hunting for oddities and problems, and there's already been 3 undocumented things that they changed. So if we find a 4th, that could change.
Oh, did we mention to you the fun crash issue with 1.20?
They do not, guys, they don't want to hear about all the crashing. We got questions. We got lots of questions.
No, they want to hear how stable it is, right? By the way, I want to fight corruption. I really want to know what is behind this little quotation mark. The event quotation mark happens. I keep finding it.
Well, you let Damien explain that one. Have fun.
Yeah. I understand localization issues are probably like the bane of doing any kind of modding in a huge setting like this, because you've got thousands and thousands of lines of events and codes and stuff, and it all blurs together for me.
We're well into the millions, but
millions. Yeah. Oh, even better.
Yes.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me though that Paradox wants to divide by 0. That's what Twitch has to say right now. You can't divide by 0. That's shocking. Yeah, but it's Paradox. Come on. Paradox has done some really squirrely stuff with math over the years.
Yeah.
There's a triggered modifier where if you take it out, the game guaranteed crashes.
Yeah, that was the other undocumented thing.
Yeah.
They hard-coded a trick mod. Anyway. So
and they didn't tell anyone.
We're on 3, right, Arumba?
Yep. Will the mod run better? How much will this affect my computer? Do I need to download more RAM? It doesn't actually.
More RAM. The mod will definitely run better than our 1.27 release, though that credit does not go to me. That credit definitely goes to Damien. KGH, Flopsy has a lot of credit on that too. A lot of our more code-heavy people have been doing a lot of optimization. And a little credit to Paradox. They've added some tools that just didn't exist before.
Oh yes, having loops is amazing.
Yes, it is.
We'll get into more about it later when there's the question of how has Paradox supported us, and we can go into details there.
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering, has it... I've only actually gotten, this is the longest I've played in the mod so far, so I'm 50 years in, I think, right now, and it runs acceptably well.
I've noticed you're staying on speed 3. That's a little surprising. I tend to play on 4.5 when I'm moving fast.
I have a tendency to, especially while not fully paying attention, which is almost all the time when I play this, just due to the fact that I'm usually streaming, to just take my time and really overthink things. Oops.
Yeah, streaming's hard. I've seen a lot of streamers, and you run into those issues. I can understand.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fast enough that one time when we worked on the speed, got a substantial boost, I looked away for about 15 seconds and I came back and I had been stack wiped and half my country was being sieged down.
You gotta turn it down during the wars.
Yeah. I'm always worried about that, is that you're going to be looking on one, oh, look at this event. Oh, I got this really fancy immersion event. And then you're halfway across the world losing your entire country. So, yeah.
So
okay.
I play on a laptop. I had to get it for school. So I have an i7 2600K, or the MQ, so quad core. And even 300 years in, I'm still getting 3-minute ears.
It sounds crazy playing on a laptop, but yeah, that gives you some idea.
Okay. I'm gonna totally. Here's my from the player's perspective assessment. I think vassalization is like the best way to expand. Period. In this game, it's ridiculous. It's so much better. But the assimilation thing kind of threw me for a loop at first because it's very different.
That's to put brakes exactly on what you're saying. Yeah, it's a really good expansion. It's just not fast.
Yeah. This is interesting. How come I'm suffering 0 aggressive expansion in this peace deal to separate peace, Gratia, and make them my subject? Oh, I didn't make them my subject, did I?
Yeah.
I did war reps. Doop. I was going to say, there should be aggressive expansion for this. That would be very odd.
That would be unusual.
So,
You've been finding all the exciting bugs.
I do have a tendency to
no, we
find really like pedantic even layers of detail.
Though. It's always a facepalm every time I see it. I'm just like, oh, dang, how, oh no.
Yeah. Next question: okay. Will it be possible to download it for free on the Steam Workshop,
as opposed to paying for it on the Steam Workshop?
No, I think if I understand where they're coming from with this. I think a lot of players that maybe would have tried M&T in the past never did, because you had to go to the mod forum and you had, frankly, you had a huge wall of text to find the right download links, and it's just a whole process to get the thing running. So
and also Steam just plain sucked. So at one point, Jiga was having to upload it like 15 times to get it to work right.
But to answer the question, it will be available on Steam. Actually, our previous versions have been about for the last 10 or so versions. This will as well.
Okay.
Are you slightly shocked, Arumba?
Well, I don't know if you just saw the reaction. I'm so happy. So happy. I just got an event letting me know my education level changed. That's bad, but good.
It was like, maybe informing players, that might be a good plan.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that I'm 0.074 away from a huge breakpoint.
Change.
No, it's a bad change for my country, but it's a great change because I know what happened. You know, like you don't just suddenly find, I don't have where did my diplomat go?
Court should do that as well.
Yeah, so that's really cool, awesome. So I got distracted a little bit. So was it going to end up on Steam?
Yes,
or
definitely.
It will. Definitely. Okay, cool. And it's just going to be one click, right? You just click subscribe to the mod, done.
As long as that's the way Steam keeps working. I mean, okay. I can't promise Steam. Steam may decide to have freaking mod codes. Who knows? But
Steam does get pretty herpaderp about it sometimes.
Okay. Awesome.
Sometimes you'll start EU4, close it.
Yeah. Okay. So next question.
How often do you plan to update
it again? Leave it.
We're gonna probably continue
minutes.
updating the same way and leave it for 30 minutes. Hi, son, is your
internet seems to be cutting out for son a little bit.
Canada. Anyway, updating M&T. It's going to get very frequent updates as per usual. We normally, prior to the 2.0 rework, which pretty much put us underground. Yeah, we got Robotron. Tended to be weekly hotfixes, and that will probably go back to being the case. Though we will have a bit more regimentation in version structures, obviously, and things like that. But yeah, quite frequent updates.
Okay. Cool. All right. I'm just gonna keep going along unless something comes up in game, or if you trigger some thought in my mind.
Of course.
Will this mod?
A case of I've been jig out.
I think she's losing everything right now.
Yeah, it sounds like she might be like 20 seconds behind our conversation. I don't know.
That's not good. Or it's taking 20 seconds for it to get here.
Yeah. Well, she is on the moon.
What? Okay, it just currently refreshed, and now it's serving me up an add-on.
Congratulations.
If you're having a hard time keeping up the call, you might want to cancel the stream so you can.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Good plan.
Yeah. So will this mod have an in-game tutorial?
That's definitely in Sunwoo's territory, so I hope she can answer.
Yes, I'm working on it.
I heard yes. The answer is yes. Let's go with that. Cool. Is the mod simple enough for regular EU4 fans? Will players be able to figure out how to play without doing spreadsheets?
I have only used spreadsheets for balancing, personally. Of course, I do know the mod, but we have a lot better macro control than most. But to explain what macro control is, it's the opposite of micro management. It's macro management. Than honestly base EU4 does. I mean, you're not going to be like, oh, click, 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 click. Those of you who've been watching Arumba have been noticing, like, choosing where to put a building when you have enough money for you personally to put a building is a big decision. You want to think about that.
Yeah.
You're not going to just...
some people are going to be like, why can't I build as many buildings? But some people are like, oh, I don't have to go into Macro Builder every 3 months and spam down 30 buildings.
Yep.
No, it's going to be like, you build a building and it actually matters.
Right.
Oh, yes.
I actually really appreciate that. That's been one of the surprising features for me. I didn't expect it to be that way, but it's been interesting. Like, I actually find in vanilla, it's like Monarch points are king, and they're the only thing that matters, and you're always trying to convert money into Monarch points. That's it. If you just do that, you'll probably play and get really big and do really well. And I tried bringing that mentality into M&T just a few days ago when you first sent me the pack, and it's just sort of, it's backwards in a really good way. Like, Monarch points are kind of, yeah, they're important, but money, money, oh my god, troops are so expensive, and it's interesting. And the anti-blob mechanics I find to be very interesting, very enjoyable. So
you're going to get to hear me on a rant on that. I'm very happy about the anti-blob mechanics.
Yeah, because it's, you know, if you've played one game and if you've ever conquered the world, you probably don't want to do it again because it gets kind of tedious actually.
At the end, yeah, you know you've won. What's the point?
Yep. So, okay. So no, you don't need to play spreadsheets. That's good. Which EU4 expansions are a prerequisite to play, and how will it affect the game if one does not have that DLC, for example?
I don't think any qualify as prereqs, but I would definitely get Cossacks. We kind of have a decision interface to go around if you don't have estates, but I recommend it in Cossacks. The decision thing is clunky.
It works. I mean, we do have compatibility. You can play this game without a single expansion, and all of our features will function. Of course, with missing paradox features, you're going to see some balance issues, and the game's balanced around the idea that you have all the DLCs. Mm-hmm. But it will certainly function, including estates, which is a specific question there. We just reroute through the decisions menu. It's a lot less fun, but it does work.
Okay, vanilla bug that seems to apply to your mod too. Do you have any idea? I don't know if you can see the stream here in a couple seconds. Do you have any idea why this happens? I'm at war. I don't have military access through Austria, and yet this army can go here and this army can go here.
Oh, the
doesn't
exile
make any sense.
Bug. Yeah, I've seen that a couple of times.
I can't go to any other province. It's not my return province. It's just so squirrely.
Pathfinding and Paradox have always had disagreements.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I suppose we can move on. Yeah, I think I read a statistic somewhere that a huge percentage of people do have the latest DLC. So I don't think it's going to be a big issue. But if you don't have them, I would just recommend you do what I would do and wait till the next big sale, get them for 50 to 75% off. But they're all worthwhile.
And yeah, the word of Johan is that more than 95% of people get it within 1 month after the DLC launches. And people who play mods are more likely to get it and get it faster.
This may be why Paradox is courting us.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Will map mods that don't affect the UI be able to run alongside MEIOU, or will special versions need to be made specifically for it?
You only can patches.
Yeah, you would have to make it definitely a compatch. The mod, as you can see, as many people have commented on your stream, actually, is massively different in terms of the map and has been for most of its lifespan. And all of the references, all the provinces, everything. One time I had it load up with a vanilla map due to a bug. It wasn't pretty. Mm-hmm. It was bad.
When
Why
I look
are
around,
there Murids in England?
I don't mean it wasn't like pretty in the sense that one could look at it, though it was also rather ugly from my perspective. But also you had chaos, you had things owning things, places that never should have been, and random colonization happening in strange places.
That's actually due to inheriting it from EU3. You see, Jigo actually started trying to mod for EU2, but then ditched that when EU3 came out, which was not that long after. So it basically diverged from before the first EU3 expansion pack. So they're widely different.
We're down the rabbit hole on that, yeah. And as many people have commented, yes, it isn't. I'll defend Gaio because he's not here because he is asleep in France. But yes, the mod does focus strongly in terms of the map on authentic borders and realistic borders rather than like nice blocky shapes.
Are you talking about the 3 bishoprics and also?
I admit the Holy Roman Empire might be a little bit far, but it is completely historically accurate. Oh yes, oh yes.
We got some history buffs in the mod team, don't we?
Yeah,
quite a few.
Very, very, very important.
Well,
here's an example. Isco, who was working on Hordes, read 20 books on medieval India and the Hordes, let me tell you, that is not easy. Because in terms of history, India is somehow a black hole.
It's not my fault you guys didn't write things down.
No, like there just isn't very much historical details existing.
Okay, so
wait. Yeah, I'm going to intentionally black flag myself somehow so that I can get my butt home because okay, this is my own personal question. I just want to interject this one. What is up with this? You have to have 30 opinion to get military access through people.
I can answer that one. I was screaming at the screen the first time you asked it. The basic logic is we cannot access the diplomacy. We strongly hope Paradox is planning to change that. We have some pretty good hope that they will. But the diplomacy is a black box in terms of what you can do and why you can do it. So, for example, they will accept an access agreement, as I'm sure you know, Arumba. If they hate you, they can have minus 200 and be the same size as you, and they'll still give you an access agreement for some random reason. In vanilla. And the only way we had to put some kind of realistic boundary on that is to just say, no, you can't get one unless they either like you or you outnumber them enough that you can threaten them. And that's what that's basically acting for. Now, ideally, it would be better if we could actually get into the actual AI will do to there and just have them say, no, we don't like you very much and we're not scared of you. But basically a workaround. That's what that is.
Okay. It's been frustrating because I've noticed it. Because the game doesn't run quite as fast as I'm used to on vanilla, I'll be like, oh, okay, 30 opinion, that's no problem. I'll get the relations in no time at all. But then it's like 15 minutes later, what? I'm still at 25 opinion? Damn it! And you can't just do like what you would do in vanilla, you know? You don't have hundreds of ducats laying around, you can just send them a gift because you want to make it faster.
Let me turn this back on you for a second. As someone who's had a lot of experience playing, do you think the 30 threshold is the problem? I mean, should it be 0? What you thinking?
I think the only circumstance... Well, I mean, that's you just open a whole can here.
Yeah.
I feel like in vanilla on its own, there shouldn't even be military access agreements. Like, if you have enough power, you should just be able to say, I don't care if you don't like me. I'm marching through your land and you can just dislike me for it.
That's what the double is for, actually.
But, you know, but in this context, like, the situation is just usually, I think that the AI should only say no if it's directly against their best interest to help me. But it's hard to quantify that.
No, you're more on Vanilla's side on that than I guess my logic is I kind of want that. I want opinion to matter. Opinion is a really big factor of the game.
Let me just put a little bit of history in this. It's during this time period, armies mostly lived off the land. So if you march an army,
look at this.
Basically like peasants give us your food or we're going to kill you.
Sometimes they offered bonds. Really civilized armies. But
just in general,
what's up with that?
Yeah. If you march an army into someone's territory and you don't have supply trains, you're at war. You're sacking villages for food, basically.
But we're just trying to find a good compromise there. Okay, so where are we?
I'm trying to find military access agreement through Ferrara. I don't understand this. I was allowed to march into Parma again and like black flag myself at will.
Yeah, I don't get that. That's vanilla. I'm sorry.
That's not you
that's
guys.
Vanilla.
Okay, so I'm just kind of advancing the question ahead of us so that hopefully I'll get distracted and look at it on the other screen. How far are later start dates like 1444 and 1530 fleshed out? Or do they have different development or pops compared to 1356? That's actually
different
why
population.
1356 actually. But
Both Death and Taxes and MEIOU and Taxes, and MEIOU both started in 1356. 1356 is the year of the Golden Bull. Originally, we had it start on June 10th. Sorry, not June 10th, January 10th. And that was kind of the preliminary date for the Golden Bull. But I specifically got Jigout to move the date to the 25th of December, which seems kind of like an odd date. But the reason for that is the Battle of Poitiers, which we can't represent in-game. The English captured the French king. There's no way to mechanically model that. And it was a substantial event in the 100 Years' War.
okay, so
More broadly
historical.
speaking, though, 1356, tons of stuff was happening. It's a much more interesting date. You have China over there that was in the middle of
The
a
Red
giant
Turban.
civil war. And you have so much happening. The 100 Years' War is happening. The War of the Two Peters is happening. It's a very significant date in history. There's a ton of things happening at that time, which makes it a very interesting place for players to start if they want to change the world.
Mhm.
And hey,
Wow.
one time's always better.
It impresses me how much the historical accuracy and it sounds like it's all history related. The decision to change that date.
That in gameplay because, fun things happen, but those
Is
fun things
the-
are based on history.
Is the end date still 1821?
1850.
Yeah, it was 1856, but it's kind of moot at this point because you can just kind of click play on now.
Oh yeah, you don't have to stop. Sure.
The
Just out of
mechanics
curiosity,
only work till about 1800. Demian can explain to you about why everything just disintegrates at 1800 or so.
Because we need Victoria.
Yeah, well, not just that, but after about 1800, you're entering into the Industrial Revolution, and
The game
most
itself.
populations at that point were being relieved of a lot of their Malthusian constraints, and so everything after 1800, you just have population explosions, and so it basically breaks all of the mechanics that we've built around around population. So it gets a little wonky after 1750 to 1850, just so everyone knows.
Okay. So is that something that you plan on addressing in the future, or is it just to be expected with the mod?
Ideally, eventually, but for now, like every mod, it's a work in progress. So.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in terms of wonky here, I should clarify, and Damien may correct me because he has had a little bit more experience with the code. He's our major code-based person, as most of us know. But by wonky, we are talking just unexpected variables here, because I've been past there, and the game functions. It's not meant to deal with the populations. It's like dealing with China, except everywhere, except worse. You end up with 200-300 population in one province, and that just gets a little challenging for the game to represent in all of these mechanics, which are meant to deal sanely with population.
Right, so you end up with kind of ahistorical situations. The historicity of it kind of erodes at that point. Yeah.
If it hasn't already. I mean, let's be honest here. By that point, it's not going to be too good anyway.
That's true. The player has been savaging the map for 400 years by that point, so you wouldn't expect anything to be historical anymore.
Reminds me of Crusader Kings 2. You have like 700 years to play. Like, it doesn't matter where you start. In 700 years, you're probably going to conquer the map if you want to. And that also reminds me of
that.
Yeah.
I'm
reminds
ready for
me.
that question.
Okay. So
But,
people want to know if I'm going to make a YouTube series. Depends mostly on I'm like little things right now are bugging me. Like I love how invaluable vassals are in the mod right now. So little things like this annoy the hell out of me. I am not able to force them to transfer trade power to me because they just say, "Nah, don't wanna." Because we're playing on 1.20. 1.20 had that issue.
Yeah.
It's just a vanilla thing where they're just like, they got rid of protectorates, they incorporated the divert trade functionality from protectorates into vassals, but vassals could freely cancel, they never had that. You couldn't transfer trade power with a vassal before, so they just didn't check the code or something, and the second you demand it, their liberty desire goes up by 30 because you've demanded their trade power, but then they cancel it the day later. It's like, I want it. I want to play on 1.21. So if you guys release the 1.21 version, probably, definitely, I think I'll be doing a long campaign.
Well,
so
we can do that.
We'll definitely make sure you get a copy.
Well, thank you. If not, I'll find it on Steam. Is this mod better for multiplayer? Or is it more of a single-player type thing?
For multiplayer, it's going to be glorious.
I agree with Damien. It's going to be glorious. I will add one caveat though, because I do know some of the vanilla population on this. In one sense, it's going to be much better. There's so much more to do. There's so much better balance. There's so much stuff going on. On the other hand, if your goal is to get to, I mean, okay, if I start as Ethiopia and say Damien starts as, I don't know, Denmark, we're not going to really see each other for
That's true. Yeah.
like 200 years. Easily.
Yes. Yeah, there's definitely going to be significantly less people blobbing all over each other after like 25 years. And so, it would make sense if if anyone decides to play multiplayer, it'd be good to kind of, for everyone to play in Europe or in a particular continent because, it's much more viable now to play tall, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of inertia against playing fat. So naturally that means that people's territorial empires are going to be smaller.
I didn't know that was what it was called either.
That's what I call it because it sounds more obscene, and I've always hated the fact that
playing tall is playing, even with the advent, like when they added in development, playing tall has never been viable in vanilla. Like, it's fun to make a 40 or
2.0. Yeah, but it doesn't happen.
You can make a 50 development but it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
So
history timeline feature functional stuff. Pop the question. So to speak.
Is the history timeline feature functional with the mod? Sure, it should be. I don't see why this wouldn't be.
Yeah, that one confused us a little bit too. I thought that was maybe from your stream. I was going to ask you that question. It's like, did you open it and it failed or something?
No, that's a vanilla mechanic. We're watching the Ottomans blob right now on screen. Which, by the way, I love. I think maybe you might want to actually, localize that CB Sen's weakness. But beyond that, I love how they just kind of pounce on little one province miners or whatever, and they just kill them because they can, because a player would.
Yeah, that's definitely made to encourage them to be very aggressive. Right now, we're actually working to limit that ever so slightly, because right now it was a little. They're bypassing some mechanics that they shouldn't. But hopefully we'll get that a little bit under control and into something lean, and then expand it to potentially every nation in the game,
including the player. No,
well, the player does not need that help. But it's mostly AI work behind the Ottomans, not any special buff thing.
Well, for the sake of balance, though, let me ask you this then: if you're going to give the AI these essentially free casus belli, just because they're AI and they need to be more aggressive,
exactly. Yeah, you're right on the right one.
And it cost me, 2 days ago I was playing, and it was 90 spy network to buy one claim.
Now, we fixed that. That was a bit of a paradox bug. Paradox Math decided that when you add 2 to something in the Holy Roman Empire, it instead multiplied it by 3. So those should be down to 60 now in the version you have.
Okay, and I also have, as Provence, specifically, this tag, I finished my first full idea, which I hope we get to talk more specifically about this whole ideas page. I had to do the entire idea group to get my first national idea. I have cost to fabricate claims minus 20%. Is that going to end up being an additive thing or multiplicative with this other modifier from being in the HRE?
That will end up being, I believe, multiplicative. I believe it is different.
Okay, for the record,
that's just the way it goes, unfortunately.
The record it's showing me 52 is my cost. And the cost you said would be what? Should be?
It should be 60. So
60 minus...
It's definite. Yep, it's doing 20%. It is in fact multiplicative.
Okay,
If it's supposed to be 60 and it's minus 20%, that should be lopping off 12, taking it to 48.
You're right, that doesn't make sense either. What is it doing?
Yeah.
Paradox math is... Paradox math.
We'll sort that. Sometimes you have to experiment and just see what that does sometimes.
Let me check. Maybe I have another temporary modifier or something to fabrication cost. Correct. When I looked through this list, the list of modifiers, I noticed it seems like not everything is in this list anymore. Did you guys somehow remove some, or?
We added some. But
Okay, I see. I have cost to fabricate
Actually, yeah,
claims.
it is additive. It's definitely additive because
Plus 30.
it wanted at 50%. With your 20%, that's 30%. So that's plus 12, so 40 and 12 is 52.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that makes sense. Okay, so
might-
it is just adding it straight up. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And is there any way to tweak the member of HRE thing so that it's not so bad? It reminds me of hostile core creation or something. That plus 50 is ridiculous.
Well, that is now that isn't plus 50 overall though. That is actually going to give you normally like a 60. So normally it's 40, and if you get plus 50%, that takes you up to 60.
Mhm.
And that's just trying to represent the fact that the Holy Roman Empire, you couldn't easily fabricate claims. I mean, we had some team members who were just like, ahistorical, bad, make it go away. Because literally in all the history of the Holy Roman Empire, nobody was just like, hey, I've totally got this document. It's totally authentic.
Mhm.
So we just put that in there as a way to do that. But yeah, obviously the 80 was crazy. It's not attainable normally.
Mhm.
But 60 is something you can do. It slows you down. Definitely.
Right, and because of the fact that vassalization's so much more logical, you get the initial claim and then you vassalize the difference. So
Well, yeah,
you don't need to have 10
overexpand.
claims.
Oh, no, nothing. Like you can't get 10 claims realistically in most cases. To answer the previous question, though, the startup question regarding the AI CV, one of the things we're working on is to not have it hand out claims. Most of the predatorial nature of the AI is literally just what it thinks about. It's just, oh, wait a minute, I can take this, I should do this. But
Right. With the sense casus belli, the sense weakness casus belli with the Ottomans, we're basically testing proof of concept, and they've got claims all over Anatolia and the Balkans, and so it's at that point where it's still kind of in skunk works and testing, but proof of concept seems to work fine.
we
Okay.
just need to get it playing by the rules.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, I don't mind a few handicaps. It's just, I feel like the player could over time kind of get mad about the fact that they're constantly using these CBs that then they turn around and try to do, and it takes them like 20 years to get a claim. But sounds like you've answered the question. I mean, you'll probably find the right number.
Well, no,
Over time.
the idea being is they're not going to be given free claims.
Right, exactly. They'll make their own, but that's just an
Yeah,
extra.
they'll make their
little
own using the same exact method that the player would.
Oh, okay.
That's
So-
the end goal.
Even better.
And we tend to
Okay.
give them special CBs too, because KJ, one of our main AI guy, he'd like, with his great predator system, he'd like to basically disable the AI's ability to declare wars otherwise, so that they don't do really stupid things.
Yeah.
And then have them make more informed wars, and so we need new CBs to do that. So that
But
only the AI
they
can
will
do that.
definitely not be super advantageous CVs. The only real
No,
goal
yeah.
is just to have them be using CVs where it's like, no, you have to go to war. I don't care if you think you shouldn't go
Mm-hmm.
to the AI.
What about, okay, here's an Arumba side question then for you. How are you going to make the AI not be so stupid about mothballing forts? Go.
Ooh. Okay.
I gotta
first
go. I gotta go to the
point.
bathroom.
Get back in.
Very convenient.
Oh, look, my daughter just came into the room. I've got to go.
Stream over. Yeah. I catch
Like,
his in the car.
Okay, so like quick history here. Paradox's solution at one point was to just say, okay, fine, the AI gets all forts for free, which was ridiculous. Then they're like, okay, well, this is ridiculous. Maybe we should make them pay for them again. And then, bam, very next day, AI's mothballing all their border forts against the rival who has 10 claims on them and no truce. It's like, come on. How hard is it?
To be the one to say this, but given that they really don't have any AI logic exposed in the system at all for that kind of thing, I mean, we have nothing. We
have
could
no
make it
control.
free again, but that's all we could do. Literally, there's one define. And I think this one's on Paradox. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard. They're just like, hey, is this fort completely protected by other forts? That shouldn't be hard to test.
Malord,
Yep.
that isn't true. There's more than one define. We can actually set a number saying what percent of their budget they'll spend on forts.
That is
That's
true.
right.
That might help. We might be able to help with that. That is a good point, actually. Or they'll just, but that might also be constructing forts for all we know.
Right.
That's true. Paradox is the
don't
things
know.
don't necessarily do what most people would think it would mean.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to wait till my
trying to be
education level
diplomatic.
6. I want to get to education up again? I'm gonna get a pop-up again, right? When my education changes, if I actually let a whole year pass.
If you don't, then we have to talk to somebody on Slack and say, guys,
What?
it broke again.
It went down again, even though I increased funding.
So let me explain
greedy children.
education really quickly. So there's the actual endowment that you have, right? You can see the endowment, and every year money is taken from the endowment and then put toward raising the education level. When you just increase your funding level, you're gradually just putting money into the endowment, and so to put it simply, there's a delayed effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to see the effect of that funding a little bit later when you're funding consistently. If you dump a whole bunch of money in as a one-time endowment, you'll get a one-time burst, and you'll see the effects much more quickly.
Okay. Yeah, I had. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say the other thing that might be a factor here is universities. If you don't have the ability to use that money, then having a lot of money helps a little bit, but not nearly as much as if you actually had enough university slots to educate everyone. I haven't been keeping up with the stream in the last few days, so not last few days, last day. So I have no idea where you are with that, but
basically this campaign, just to catch you guys up if you did miss it, Demian had recommended I try Provence, which I was glad to try an underdog position.
I was.
Hey,
everyone was saying, "Who the hell told him to play Provence? What idiot told him to?"
It's fun. It's gone well. Don't you think it's gone well? It's been 50 years. We broke free from Naples.
Impressive. He towed the line. Bob would.
Yeah.
Bob's man.
I know. It's
the mercenary that
Would you name the province after him? You should have done it. Just saying.
I will. Let's do it. I didn't even remember. Yeah, it's hard to keep track of Twitch chat and everything.
This is the Empire of Provence, I'm sure.
I don't know. Bob's backyard. Alliteration is good. So yeah, I mean, Bob. I do find little things like that to be kind of silly, but still, like, yeah, Bob. One stack of mercenaries is just like, hey, France, bend the knee. He's like, all right, I guess White Peace sounds good.
That was impressive. I thought you were doomed there. I was watching live, and I'm just like, and he's gonna die because he's on very hard. We told him not to play on very hard.
No.
I'm sorry. I thought you were gonna get curb stomped when France declared war, and I thought, oh, he's a goner. He's gonna be dismembered and bloated. Because I'm like, damn, he actually pulled through.
Yeah, this is I mean, I've played EU4 since it came out in August of 2013, so I've got some experience. I know. I feel like I'm usually at my best when I'm the underdog. Like I sometimes put myself in horrible situations, but it's because it's fun. You don't ever learn how to get out of a horrible situation unless you've been in that situation before.
Why is it impressive if you started as Britain? Oh, whoop-de-doo. I conquered the world as Britain.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard. Now go conquer the world horribly. Anyway.
Yeah.
In
this campaign, we broke free from Naples. We abated the French
because Naples died.
You have to
No.
Gods were with you.
Hold on. I understand. Okay, it was lucky, sure, that we got free, but I actually would say that it made the campaign harder because if we had fought a rebellion, then I would have had an automatic alliance with England, Fez, and the Mamluks.
Yeah.
And at least 2 of those would have stuck, I think, after, and that would have actually kept the French off my back. But because he just died, I was just left oh, here we go, you're independent. Okay. And you're saying no one wants to be my friend anymore.
Go
okay.
forth in the world, child, and make your destiny. And you're like, I don't wanna.
Yeah. So, well, it's been a while since we've done one of these question things. Where is the best place to learn about all of the changes to the various mechanics? Is there a meta post in the forums that discusses everything? Oh, I just totally...
You
can watch my like 50 hours worth of videos. No, I mean, we need to obviously, we're still putting together as much information as we can. And obviously, wiki is in our future. But, as you can imagine, there's so many things to do and so many things to tune that, it's on the to-do list. I'm going to actually open up once the game is released, I'm going to open a stream on YouTube where people can come in and ask questions, and I'll just, help everyone understand the game better. And then, the wiki will come in time.
Okay. Sounds good. I think also there's quite a bit going on the, there's an MNT subreddit, isn't there? Mm-hmm. You have, weekly or, semi-infrequent or semi-frequent posts about what's going on with development, so probably be a good place to go.
We don't post on there, which may have to do partially with Paradox banning external forums and Reddit counts as an external forum. Yeah, so us having
Oh.
Reddit is banned, so don't expect to see us there.
Okay.
We're not allowed to, and we need Paradox to like us. They give us
Okay.
features.
So how will this modification affect the difficulty? Won't it be too easy or hard, or maybe unbalanced, favoring some playstyles and making others impossible?
Oh, I'm ready for
Hard.
this one.
Harder, probably. I mean,
Yeah, on average, definitely the game is going to be a lot harder, but at the same time, a lot depends on what you start as. And we've done our best to remove what I call noob traps, which are situations where it's like, oh, this seems like a great idea. And it's like, no, that's an awful idea. You should never do that. We just don't give people options to do things that they should never want to do.
Now,
Ever.
a
Fine.
reminder, you need to go in and fix the event for Poland where it's like, oh, here, look, here's a CB2.
Oh, yeah, I need
yeah.
to fix that. Yeah, that's a dirty lying CB.
one thing
Yeah,
to consider.
I actually did that once, and it resulted in everyone all the way to France getting into a coalition. It was bad.
So here's and this kind of plays to the second part of the question, right? Because there's so many other ways to succeed now in the game other than just blobbing the crap out of the entire world. There's usually how hard the game was in vanilla was kind of determined by the metric of how much you could expand, but it's no longer like a race anymore necessarily because ideally we'll have a lot more different standards by which you can succeed. You may not want to be a super big, unstable, unwieldy empire. You might want to be a moderate-sized, very tall, highly influential, advanced country.
Yeah, you might be the Netherlands
all.
with 60% urbanization.
Right,
And
exactly.
You can also just play Britain. Britain's the best example historically of exactly what worked. They became a superpower primarily not by taking over Europe. They're just like, you know what? No, France is hard to conquer. We'll go do other things.
Right, and
they
that's
took over the world. But that isn't really blobbing. I mean, that's colonies. That's a bunch of other things. Influence definitely matters. But yeah, your ability to concentrate power is much higher. And yeah, I admit we do have one thing. The whole I become world conquest, and we'll go into this with the world conquest question. But that is definitely going to be much less favored than vanilla, simply because there's a lot of counterweight to that. Now, the thing that goes into that, though, is that counterweight affects everybody.
Can you world conquest in this mod?
Well,
No.
that's one of our questions, and the answer is indeed no. I have a standing challenge on the forums. Anybody who can actually deliver to me a Iron Man save, properly not messable with, and all of that, and it checks out, nobody's altered it drastically, that has a world conquest, I will cheerfully invite to the team as an advisor. Just flat. You're on the Slack. Have a nice day. Tell us how you did this. What the heck did you just do?
It
It's
sounds
that.
a lot like Ryukyu type challenge there.
It's
Yeah.
beyond Ryukyu. Okay, I think I have the high record. I might be wrong. Lumen might have the high record, but I think I have the high record. I once conquered all of Africa in 2.0. And I was straining. Like, I hit that, and it was just like, oh, I'm this massive empire. I'm like, I am way too busy with the rebels. All the rebels, and the unrest, and the other problems. I cannot expand anymore. I became the Roman Empire of Africa. It was just like, yeah, I'm groaning under my own weight at this point.
Yeah, when 2.0 comes out, we still have a lot of the counter inertia mechanisms that need to be fully fleshed out. Especially, corruption and privileges are kind of nominally in the game, but as you get bigger too, you're basically, it's much harder to be able to keep your administration uncorrupt. But there's still a lot to do there, so expect it to
Also,
get
your
harder.
estates just become retardedly powerful if you get far enough on CE, but we'll talk about that.
I don't think even Jake could pull off a world conquest.
He's welcome
that's
to
a
try.
challenge. Well, it's
Yeah.
impossible because I coded a comet event that slams into your capital when you get too big, and I'm kidding.
Right, yeah. There's like a little.
Oh no! No, that's.
And then it turns out it's actually a divide by zero, so you instantly get 10,000 urban bombs.
All right, we're out of basic information. Onward to gameplay and balance. Arumba.
Well, we actually already did one of the questions in this section, but has MEIOU tuned back the recent surge in aggressiveness of the AI since 2.0 since it leads to super blobs on the map, or is that not necessary with expansion being harder? Will countries blob out in the mid and late game?
Honestly, we made them blob more. That was the thing we did, but the thing is that blobbing is much harder and much less self-restrained. I mean, the Ottomans will run into the wall that they ran into historically. Historically speaking, the Ottomans blobbed just like they did, as we see in all vanilla games, probably not quite as much in vanilla games, but then they hit the idea where it's too far away. When it takes you 2 months to get, it's like, oh, they're sieging one of my forts. You find out 2 months later. That's a problem. You can't do that.
Wait, what? You don't get a pop-up?
Not in game. No, not in game.
I was going to say, you don't actually get a pop-up for 2 months? No. That would be horrible. No. You should do that. You should do that.
Realism, man. Realism. Deal with it.
Historically, that's what killed them. It was just like, and that's the whole like autonomy lowers defensiveness. You've seen that. That's what that's representing, is that your courier that tells you that this fort's under attack isn't here. And so you're just like, and so your fort is just like, we know nobody's coming. We know nobody's going to come save us, probably.
Yeah, and some of the AI work still has, some of the AI stuff still has work. Eventually, I'd like to code in some postures for the AI. And what's interesting about the estate system is that we can actually use that as a stabilizing force for the AI. And then, of course, when they become too corrupt, we want to create a system by which they will take a defensive fight corruption posture, and in that case, we want to try and disable their CBs so that they can try to get their own internal house in order. So in many ways, we're trying to, we're going to try and slow down the AI, so they don't kind of go crashing, crashing over a cliff.
Also, has anyone ever looked at a map of like just before Napoleon Europe? Europe is just blobs.
Well, except for the Holy Roman Empire.
But even in the Holy Roman Empire, there's a whole bunch of blobbing.
I know. There definitely will be some blobbing. You will not see what vanilla does, though. I've seen a couple of vanillas. It pained me. But a good example of what will happen if you try to blob insanely is like the hordes. The hordes are very blob happy. They love to blob because they're the hordes. I mean, that's historically what they did. But they will run off a cliff, just as you said. They'll just be like, we're so big. And then it's just like, yeah, now you don't have a good ruler. And now your world comes crashing down. Have a nice day.
I can see how, like, especially not being allowed to bump stability on demand. Like, if you aren't really cautious about how you manage your decisions, I could see, like, if I were at -2 stab right now, I don't know how I would survive it. Like, it would be incredibly painful because there's so many outs in vanilla. You're like, oh, well, I'll just, whatever, I'll let my country get bankrupt and I'll be overrun by rebels and I'll reset my stability to 0 for free.
There are still outs through the estates, but what really will be the end of you is if your estates ever really turn on you and they're powerful.
Oh, gosh.
I look forward to the day.
It will be bad.
They'll just be like, oh, you've been giving us privileges for the last 200 years. We're now more powerful than your nation. You better act like that. They will know it, too. They will be like, no, you're the king is here to rule at our purposes. Oh, you don't want to do that? Fine. Have a nice day.
Yes, China ran to the, oh dear lord, my greater nobles have 400 units.
Yeah, mine don't have that many.
Limit of 300.
Yeah, we need some tuning there, obviously.
Oh, China.
Yeah, what's up with that? Where's my greater nobles have 1 infantry? I mean, I'm really disappointed in my greater nobles.
Okay, but no, you should not be disappointed. That's a good sign. Look at how powerful your state is. Your state controls 50% of the country. Go look at the Ottomans sometime. They will not control 50% of their country.
Wait, I'm reading that backwards though. I have 36% influence. I have 50% loyalty with myself. Isn't that right?
Yeah,
what that says?
So go ahead and tag, like if you tag switch to a larger country, like a fairly large country, tag switch to the Mamluks or France, you'll see that the more decentralized they are and the more autonomy there is to the estates, the more powerful their estate levies are.
It's a question of where the income goes.
But yeah, you can't have loyalty with
I apologize.
The state.
I misread that. I've got this open in a corner.
Yeah, but this is a sacred save. I can't tag switch. It's Iron Man.
This is true.
Bob's.
Fair enough.
Right. Just take my word for it. France has 1 million.
France has issues.
I've seen that France has like really, really high autonomy, 90+ in most of his border edge provinces.
France is run by its nobles.
Yeah, even its capital is
are not
20.
sectors. They are not your friend.
They are not your friend. The estates are your enemies. They are waiting. They will find you and they will do bad things to you.
Well, 2 quick questions that I want to say before I forget about them again is, one's a question, one's a comment. I really like this change of this news version you gave me about the loot. The loot showed up as like a really important green level decision and you just have to hover over it. I'm still hoping you can replace sailors with the loot pool.
Well, we're not looking at that. I'll give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek. This is not confirmed, not guaranteed. We're looking into actually turning the timber system into sailors.
Oh, cool.
Because, hey, what would be a really logical thing for upkeep for your navy?
True.
What matters?
Timber.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, rather than murdering 1 out of every 50 people every month.
Yeah,
For
it
no
doesn't
reason.
actually. Yeah, sailors didn't make sense in this time period. Maybe in the late time period, and that's part of our problem. Is it's like, okay, maybe when you get to like 1750, yeah, sailors were a big deal. Napoleonic Wars, definitely. Trained sailormen were rare. Press gangs everywhere. But I think timber's going to be a better choice for representing the whole thing. But depends on how much we can hack Paradox.
Okay. And then the other thought was, when or what triggers the estates to actually build these fortifications, the non-fort level?
So, yeah, so I can explain that. So basically, every estate has, and this is something we need to localize in the estates menus, but every estate has a fort force limit, kind of like they have with with their actual troops, right? And so, what they do is the closer they get to that force limit, the less likely they are to actually build one of their forts. And also, the more forts that you build, the less of a need they feel to build the fort, the fortification of their own. And of course, they need the money, and so they're trying to decide what to spend on. So, in other words, it depends.
Now, to give you the idea of where they're going to build them, though, that's based on the value of the province. But that is going to account for the autonomy. So they think in the reverse of the player. If there's 100% autonomy there, that's a great place for them. I mean, that they're getting all the money from that. They're happy. So they're going to want to protect that. Whereas if it's 0% autonomy, they're like, well, if the state wants to protect it, the state had better protect it.
Makes sense.
Their forts are inferior, as of course you've seen. They don't block movement, but they're a good way to keep the map a little bit safer sometimes.
Yeah, based on the way that the looting system seems to work, I would really like it if Bob's Backyard had a level 1 fort in it, just because it's just, they show up and 15 days later, bam, there goes all the local wealth, and they've amassed...
One way to think of it is that if you're profiting most from a province over your estate, then you should be the one responsible for actually, defending it with a fort, so... so what's the autonomy in that province? Yeah, it's 18, so,
Yeah,
no, I'm making 2 ducats a month out of this, according to this, but that doesn't seem right.
No, that 2 ducats goes up to your taxes, and that's yearly, by the way. That's increasing the tax income. You can see it if you mouse over tax.
But why would they show it, not you specifically, because I think this is Paradox here, why would they show it annually here and monthly here? Like, why? Why?
It's Paradox.
It's Paradox. I mean, I don't know. They confuse me.
Okay.
Oh, that's the whole state. I'm sorry, I thought you were looking at something different. No, that's the whole state's monthly income. Like, not just the province. That's probably accurate. That's monthly.
Yeah, if we look... Now, you would assume you could find the monthly income here, but there's no monthly income listed on each individual province. But,
there should be a total income.
Music is really gorgeous right now, by the way.
Yeah, there's a total income right there.
Yeah, for each individual province, but I'm talking like... I could have sworn there was like a thing down in this list down here that actually showed it, but it doesn't matter. So you're saying I should build my own fort with blackjack?
Go for it. I personally build it in your capital myself, but I
already did that. We did that already. Yeah, we got a level 5 fort there. It's why the French can't take our lands.
Yeah. Speaking of the level 5 fort, yeah, we are seeing a little problem with the AI not realizing that you then built a fort and being like, oh, I don't want to keep investing my money here. And that's something that we've seen a couple places. We had a level 14 fort wandering around, which is, by the way, 4 more than the best fort you could build in the game. So yeah, a little balancing needed there, but nothing severe.
Okay.
Well, it only takes like 100 artillery.
Yeah, I mean, what's the problem? But
and the 3 siege general.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be practically impossible. Yeah, unless you get a natural 14 wall breach.
It was practically just, it didn't happen.
It's like the Magnat line. There's a reason why Germany went around it.
This is true. Okay.
So I have a decision available, a prelate. It's the first time I've seen this one. Apparently I have either 4 cardinals, which I don't. I have a great deal of influence over the Pope, or I have authority over the church in our nation.
I can honestly say that is DG. DG, because David has been out of D. Harper has been out of commission. He has young children. DG has been one of the things we've left alone the most. Now Sunwoo is actually going into that a little bit. It's some of the most complex pre-pop code that we have, and so there's going to be a couple of oddities in the religious system. You may notice there's no religious estate. That's something that's going to be happening maybe next 2 versions or so. Get that transferred over from churches.
DG runs on puppies.
DG runs on Cthulhu fuel. I don't even know, man.
Yeah.
That code is insane. He was doing stuff like what we're doing now, except without any of our tools. So he was just like brute forcing it. It's like this
Modding
is going to
at the beginning of EU4 and E3 was horrible. So variables now we hit export. It's great. We can do multiplication. We can do division in EU3.
He did all of that without that. I have no idea how. Anyway.
In EU3, I had to deal with you can't add 2 variables. You can only modify a variable by a constant, and you can only add or subtract. Zhigao had it even worse, and part of his team for MEIOU didn't have variables. They did flags.
Moral of the story, lots of revisions to degradation need to be done, and hopefully Harper will come back. If not, then we'll get into it later. But
yeah,
he'll be back in the summer.
He's here as an advisor regardless. I mean, he's popped in a few times. And it's, kids.
If I really need him, I will show up at his house.
Yeah.
All right, so how about next question?
Yeah.
Okay. One of my biggest problems with EU4 in comparison to CK2 is that once a nation starts bobbing up, it will never crumble again. As a result of that, endgame maps are usually boring looking, with every nation outside the Empire being a blob or being eaten by one.
Oh, I've spent so much time fixing this. I'm very excited about this question. Okay, so first point out, you may notice that there's a lot fewer states slots out there.
Yeah, we have 12.
Yeah. Yep. And you're a small nation, but I mean, you start getting big, you're going to run out of state slots pretty fast. Now, state slots are not technically limited in the game. You can always build more capitals to get more, but that becomes not very cost-effective rapidly. And then there's territories. Territories can be taken, and you don't get an immediate CB to get them back. What this will result in when I've done test games into the later game is you'll get those big blobs, but they're subject to what I like to call nibbling. So a blob gets in a war with another blob. The AI on its northern border, say, a smaller nation will go, I have an opportunity. And they'll move in, take a couple of provinces, win the war, because, and the blob can't just turn right back around and declare war to get it back with cores. And if they do get it back, they have to core it again. They have to do all of those things. The nature of estates, the nature of unrest, the fact that unrest increases the further from the capital you get. You may have noticed that on the CA modifier. C provides a major unrest reduction, and if you get towards the edge, it doesn't do that anymore.
Okay, you're
manpower takes a bit longer to regen than in vanilla. It's 25 years to fully regen.
Okay.
It also
one quick interjection, because you guys you've been on this task, you've been on this program, this team for so long. Most people probably don't know what you're talking about when you say CE. So communication efficiency.
Yes, communication efficiency.
Yeah.
I will explain this. I'm sure that the modding forum remembers when I did this because they yelled at me for half a year. But it's the basic idea that it will calculate the distance from your capital or from certain secondary capitals that you can eventually set up. It will then calculate the distance between those over land, taking into account roads, terrain. It can also go over ocean, which is better if you have the right ports. And that will hugely influence the autonomy of the province, and it will also hugely influence the unrest, representing the ability of your government to get there. So, if you're trying to govern something that's only 50 miles away, the king can literally ride out there and be like, wait a minute, you said this place was horrible and couldn't pay any taxes, but this doesn't look horrible. And your agents can get there and back very quickly. If you look into, for example, what the British dealt with governing India historically, where they'd send somebody and then, 7 months later, they'd get a report back. The report would be out of date by the time they got it. That inertia means that you get a lot more local autonomy, and also unrest is much harder to contain. You can't just... People are more likely to go, well, yeah, but if I start a war with the government, if I start rebelling against the government, they're thousands of miles away. What are they going to do about it? And that makes large empires, that is probably the major counterweight to blobbing, is that you just get less and less out of your empire the bigger you get. Now your estates get more. The money doesn't vanish, but at the same time, your estates get more powerful, and that's not generally a good thing.
I don't know, though. I like, so far, having powerful estates.
Your
and by the way,
estates are under control.
Yeah, the game is... There's something wrong with the game right now, by the way. I have 2 stability. I don't know why. It shouldn't happen. I don't think it's allowed to happen. It's a problem. You need to fix it.
2 stability. Don't worry. There'll be a comment along presently.
Well, I have a darn event right now, a 25% chance I'm going to lose one, but I don't know where, but I suddenly have 300 ducats, and I'm actually making some money each month, so that's cool.
Yeah, you look like you're transitioning into that phase that is kind of like okay, wait a minute, I finally got my feet under me, I can do stuff. Grabbing Genoa was a big deal for you. That's good. That trade income is going to pay off so much later.
Owning a node is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to try, I think, to get this endowment back up a little bit. See, Demi and I had actually done the math on it, right? You have said 5% of the endowment is consumed, and I think what happened is that I conquered Genoa, and
got more population.
The province population came back up pretty quickly, but still not super fast. So I was kind of like reaching that point where it's like balanced, but then the population spiked up, and so I had it practically calculated. Like I need exactly 107 ducats, and then 5% of that will maintain my education at 50%, so that I get my threshold. But yeah. So
yeah. Education's interesting. One of the things you're fighting, of course, is that this early in the game, countries weren't that educated. So you're pushing for the outlier. You're probably more educated than most of the people around you right now, which is a good thing. But education gets easier as you get further into the game, just because there's more universities, there's more money. I think there's a tech component as well in there somewhere. Damien, am I right about that?
Yeah, it's cost scale over time, but because most societies are also becoming more productive as the game goes on, you have more money to spend on,
Yeah,
and that there's kind of a cycle. Well, actually, I won't get into it because I don't want to take up too much time because we can get into other questions. But yeah, as you kind of aren't in the middle of one existential crisis after another, you tend to be able to stabilize and then get your education up, get your courts up, and stuff like that.
Which means army tradition. Good old army tradition.
Okay. Well, let's take another one then. I mean, we talked about the boring looking maps at the end of the nation, but we've got 100 of these things. Like I said, I don't think we're going to be able to have time to get through every question if we don't really barrel through this.
Let's see if we can push a little bit here. I mean, some of these are big questions, but we can at least stop the divergence. At least I'll try.
Is it possible in the mod to go small and tall?
Yes.
Yes. Next question.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's an easy one.
What would be the difference in playstyles of, let's say, a healthy, autonomous, and wide Russia and a... Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because people are saying, am I still there? And then someone else said she lost connectivity, I think.
No. I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
Nothing's changed on my end, so it should still be gone over the stream. So what would you say is the difference in playstyles of a heavily autonomous and wide Russia and a heavily centralized Netherlands? How would the two nations tackle similar problems within the game?
I could take this for half an hour about that.
Yeah,
okay.
We can probably do this really fast. But here's the fast way. And we'll go with the example of what you're dealing with now in province, right? So a highly centralized developed Netherlands has higher productivity per capita, and so therefore they can spend more money on education, more money on courts, more money on all kinds of different things. And so therefore they are a higher quality and are generally more stable because you have more resources per capita to throw at problems. Whereas if you're a big decentralized Russia and most of the resources are behind the barrier of dealing with the states, then you have the opposite problem where you don't have a lot of money per capita to throw at problems. And so it's harder to keep that bigger country more stable even though you have more gross resources.
There's also the issue that the estates are aware of their power. One of the reasons you've been having a nice bit of smooth sailing with them is that you're really powerful. They know that they can't take you. Whereas if those were getting much more powerful, they'd start basically just starting to push you around. You'd see demands more. You'd see them demanding privileges more and getting a lot more aggressive if you didn't give them those privileges. Because they knew that they're the power in the land. Whereas here they're kind of balanced with the king, you being the king. And they know that, right. So it's give and take.
Of course, I got my 25% chance to lose stab, and I succeeded. I'm so lucky.
I mean, I think there's something bugged with how you're doing it. I've noticed that, like...
Yeah, you're clearly doing it wrong. Push the button differently.
No, but I mean, even when I'm playing, I was playing as Poland, and when it was just the one stability thing, I don't think I ever lost stability. I think there's something bugged about how it's going.
Nah, it's just
random.
it's typical RNG. It's just like, you know, every time it goes bad, you're like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened.
30 times in a row, though?
Hey,
Yeah,
I've DM'd for more than like 15 years now. Don't tell me probability. I've seen 21. I've seen someone roll on the table straight up 6 20s on a row on a 20-sided die. That's retarded. That shouldn't happen.
As a D&D player,
all right, next. So D&D is great. Let's get to another.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Gotta move.
How does converting to other religions work with die gratia? D? I don't know that word. What is this?
Yeah.
Di gratia.
It comes from Deus.
Okay.
God, basically. It means God's grace, I think, or something very similar. By the grace of God.
Can anyone do this one fast?
Yeah, we'll do this one fast. Basically, you just will effectively, if you get enough of it in your nation, you will have the option to convert via decision. That can have some pretty nasty effects depending on just how much majority the rest of the religion is, but it just flips it over. It's not terribly complex. It's just, you can't do it at will. You do have to have, I think, something like 20% of your nation being that religion already. They're also
changed something.
Yeah.
I'm just noticing. I'm still trying to let the game run a little bit, but I can only negotiate with a subject's ruler once in a lifetime now.
Yeah, we tried to get the spammy stuff out of there, but you should get some better chances on that, hopefully. Because of that. You know, spam's no fun. Nobody likes just spamming buttons.
And is there any kind of information on there that says you need to, it's based on their opinion of you, whether or not they'll accept?
There will be more information going into that. That's something that we're just on the edge of. It's one of our older mechanics that needs to kind of be brought up, because we started to be, as you've seen with our menus, we can do some really crazy stuff with events now that we couldn't do before. And we just need to bring stuff up to code.
Okay. How does the Reformation work in M&T? Is it possible to have an Orthodox Reformation?
No,
on the second question. Basically works very similarly in essence. I mean, you get Reformation desire, that increases. Once it hits about 200, you get an increasing chance of the Reformation. The Reformation will not always happen in the same place, however. It tends to happen somewhere in the Holy Roman Empire, but if it can't happen there, it will happen somewhere else.
France is also pretty likely.
Yeah, France is pretty likely too. And it also cannot happen. If you manage to get on top of that corruption in the church via those simony events you've seen and things like that, you can prevent the Reformation. I've done it. And that's amazing when that happens. And the longer the faster the Reformation happens, the more people will convert. So if you see the Reformation, like say, if you saw the Reformation happen right now in your game, you would see more people angry at the Pope than if it happened much later. The rate of increase affects things. So yeah, you could see a very nasty Reformation right now. Like you would see the majority of Europe go Protestant or Reformed. But it's basically the same mechanic. The events that increase that, however, have been significantly changed. It's no longer guaranteed. Like, yeah, you have no chance of reform right now. You're fine.
65% Reformation desire.
Yeah, you should be fine. But if you did somehow get really high, and it's possible with a really corrupt pope or a really corrupt papal controller. But yeah, it's basically the same mechanic. It's just different triggers.
Okay.
So let's move.
And you said the Orthodox Reformation is not a thing, though.
No.
No, there isn't an Orthodox Reformation, but you can get the Miaphysites and get them to rejoin the church.
You can also mend the Great Schism if you really have the ability to do it. You can mend this Great Schism.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can reunite Catholic and Orthodox completely.
Wait, did I just see that Castile had used CB Sen's weakness on Portugal?
Oh shit, that's bad.
Oh, that's bad.
Portugal's accepted peace with their former enemies of Castile. They will be forced to give 10% of their income each month. This will last for 10 years.
Portugal did the smart thing.
Portugal will...
like, nope, we're good.
Yeah, Portugal shouldn't be targeted by Castile. Let me note that
since we is a little aggressive right now.
Yeah, Castile's all about it. His historical friend, nah, just kill him. He's got clay.
There were some
historic
historic
weakness is a lot like
not
you right now, Arumba, okay, in vanilla. It's basically you in vanilla. It's like, yeah, sure, we were friends for like, 100 years, but I need your territory now. Sorry.
It definitely wasn't suspicious at all that they didn't go after Granada instead. But,
oh, no.
Anyway.
No.
Yeah, they have a claim on Granada and everything. All right, so will the mod add specific actions or interactions or buildings to one culture group or religious group?
No
For example, the Asians.
Specific actions and interactions are already very, very present. Same with countries with more unique events. They're very, 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 very present. I mean, you play a very different game if you're over in Korea, for example, than in Europe. And you have different options available. Certain nations have specific options available, obviously, even in Europe. France has a lot of specific content. Castile has some. I'm sure Granada has something. I don't know how.
Poland's got some too.
So, agency.
Yeah, what is this? What is player agency in the first place? What mechanics have been added to increase player agency compared to vanilla?
Player agency is basically the idea of the player should be able to affect things. What the player chooses to do should affect the world, and not just like in a strictly mechanical sense, like, oh, I pushed a button, it went up, but like the choices you've made going forward. So, for example, you built a university somewhere. That is going to affect the rest of the game. How big of an effect can the player have on the game? And that's something that we struggled with a lot because we added, as you can see, a lot of independent systems. You have estates doing their own things. You have a lot of things. So we needed to make sure that there was player agency, that you could actually, that your country was yours, that you cared about it because it was yours. You've made it. Via the mechanisms, first of all, where you put buildings matters. You don't spam buildings. You will never spam buildings in this game. You never will have the money to spam buildings. I mean, you might have build a lot of buildings, but
I've played like 40 years. I've built 2 buildings. I built a fort and I built a workshop.
Yeah.
And I felt like both were good decisions at the time, but there's not anything else for me to build. I can't do it.
Partially, you're a little bit small and you were a little bit poor. I've definitely seen a little bit more building happening if you're just a little bit further on the curve there. Province is a pretty rough start. But
even if I wanted to build a university, which I do, it's 270 base ducats. But when I look at my eligible provinces, it's raised up to 870. So
that's
a lot.
I'm gonna let Damien explain. Go for it, man.
Oh, are you talking about the scaling infrastructure costs?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just that
it's basically. I mean, that was the only way we could really ultimately keep cities from basically appearing everywhere like super cities. Basically, the more whenever you buy a building, the ducats that you spent end up getting invested into the province, and they accumulate as an infrastructure value, and that infrastructure value represents the entire infrastructure of the province, the entire urban infrastructure. And the bigger it is, the more it costs, and that helps to control out of control.
It creates a balance because building up one megacity would be the ideal case in terms of income. Never spreading out,
right? And so you really have to analyze, how you want to build. It's not just build buildings everywhere, but do you want that super city? Do you want numerous mid-tier cities? So
it just provides pressure the other direction, basically. And of course, we're tuning values always.
Just got a CB against my subject. Oust the usurper. Pretty sure I can't attack my own subject.
You can actually.
Well, with a huge stab hit.
Bad idea.
You can and should.
I already vassalized him. What else would I do to him at this point?
Take his stuff. Maybe he's uppity.
But just really quick to the player agency point. To a certain extent, more player agency isn't always necessarily better, because when you have too much, it trivializes a lot of your choices. When you're constantly spamming buttons here and there and everywhere, and you don't really think about it very much, then it takes away the consequences of your actions. So,
I wouldn't defy that as agency, because I think the consequences of your actions is what agency is.
I guess so. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, sure. From that perspective, lots of agency everywhere. So much agency.
All the agency.
Okay. Next question, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to address like the chat thing that's going on. So one of the people is like, we want Hellenism back. And there is actually an event where you can potentially go Hellenist.
Conceivable.
Yeah.
It's unlikely.
There's an event you can do that. And
Also, the world will hate you.
There's a good chance you're going to get torn to shreds by religious rebels.
Because it's the Balkans.
And for the playing the Aztecs, there's a plague in there. And you've seen the plagues in this game. They can be rough.
We've got questions for that, son, in time.
Okay. Sorry.
Questions. There's the list of the questions. You have to state the questions.
What's your plan for ages, objectives, and abilities, and late game absolutism? I've seen absolutism already. You're using absolutism for
if you go look, it's now
centralization.
It is now named that entirely.
Yeah.
And we just completely grabbed absolutism because what they were trying to do in vanilla was basically what we've been doing with centralization for the last 4 years. So it was just like, yay! Now we have a slider for that.
Yeah.
For ages, definitely, we don't have a plan quite yet. I mean, ages just came out, and we are barreling towards that 2.0 release, trying to get everything working properly, as you've seen. I mean, we're making a lot of changes. But ages are just going to have to wait for like 2.1, 2.2. They're definitely going to come into the game, not as in their broken incarnation, but they're definitely going to come into the game. They're a really interesting addition that Paradox has given us. I like them quite a lot. I think they have a lot of potential. But how exactly? That's going to take more conversation, to be honest. Sorry, guys.
I just got what I was really excited about as far as an event. Renaissance architecture, minus 33% build cost in Liguria. And, yeah, it's additive.
The build costs are a bit... Hey, you know, it's money.
It didn't go down much.
Quite a lot of money. It's still quite a lot of money, though. But, yeah.
Every ducat counts now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, would you have been more excited if it had just given you a lump sum? Probably.
Yeah, probably, because I could have trained an infantry or something. But what about objectives and the abilities of the eras?
Definitely not going to be as, hey, get X thing. Those objectives are very achievement-y. These are going to be actual objectives, like things that people accomplished historically, things that are actually relevant, not just, woo, I got an achievement on Steam kind of objective. Same with abilities. Most of those abilities were just like, and now you get a random bonus, whereas they really should be like, and now you can do this thing that you couldn't as easily do before, or the game changes as you move between ages. But this is pretty speculative at this point. I mean, this is not something we've talked over a ton.
Okay. Yeah, I am actually doing a vanilla campaign in 1.21, and I literally got every single Splendor decision I could get in the first stage.
Oh, I don't blame you. Those things are broken.
No, I mean, like, I found it ridiculous that I was even capable of getting all of them.
Yeah,
I thought it was like, I should be able to get 1 or 2, maybe 3 if I'm lucky. But I got every one. Even the special one that only Portugal can get in the first stage. And it's like, wow, that's a lot of Splendor.
Yeah, yeah, we're definitely going to bring that under control. I mean, getting Splendor should be something that you're incredibly excited about. Not something that's
like if you get 4, you're going to feel on top of the world.
4 objectives? Yeah, you should feel on top of the world. That'll give us a lot of things to aim for, though, which is a good thing. I like the idea. I just need some refinement. A lot of Paradox stuff falls into that category. So, next, the questions march.
Any chance or any changes to land warfare? Yeah. I saw changes to sieges, but actual land
I can
combat.
Do this really fast. Main difference, as you've seen already, is terrain does limit the combat width, which means if you're fighting in mountains, you can be outnumbered a lot and not care. I honestly have actually attacked mountains because I was just like, they outnumber me so much, and I have a much better general. We're gonna go fight in the mountains. Sure, they're entrenched in the mountains, but I want an arrow combat width. The other change is the combat width overall has been about halved from base vanilla. So you're going to see a lot of situations where you're going to want to split your army up. A lot less doom stacking is rewarded. It's just like, sometimes you just send more army than you should. It's not a good idea to send more army than you need. Okay. Because bad things happen then.
But as far as the actual unit roles? Pips and flanking range,
pips have definitely been changed. I can't tell you how flanking range hasn't changed much. Unit pips have definitely been changed drastically from vanilla, but that was done a long time ago. I don't even remember what vanilla has for unit pips anymore. I'm sorry, but nothing drastic changes. There will be something coming for cavalry though. I'm not going to say what yet, but cavalry is going to suddenly be not just better infantry or worse infantry or more expensive infantry. It's going to actually be different.
Yeah, I did notice that the combat multipliers for bombards, the artillery,
Well, you
like,
get
they're-
artillery a lot earlier in the time span, though. 'Cause,
Yeah, but they don't do any damage at all until tech 15.
Nope, and the AI has been taught not to build much artillery early on.
They're basically just siege weapons early game.
Mhm.
Yep.
Really,
Usually
really,
they're like auto-
really expensive ones.
No cannons that you shoot at things. Yeah, but the sieging's good. But yeah, that's definitely a change too.
For 0.8 ducats a month, I make 6. One cannon is a sixth of our income.
Oh no.
No, there's no way I could afford that. I got to save up for my university.
Now, keep in mind, there is one advantage to artillery. It doesn't get damaged very often because it's in the back. And
Yeah.
you've seen reinforcement costs.
This is true, except that I also have seen the 90 supply weight sudden devastated. Disease outbreaks.
That doesn't end so well. Sieging is-
Yeah! Our education level has changed. Woo! I see. That's so good. All right, now we can take tech because we have discounts.
Onward to victory.
All right, next question. Do you intend to put a limit on the mercenary system like the available mercenary system EU4 had a long time ago?
We already
It's
have.
actually still in the game. It's just people don't realize it because there's like a really ridiculously high limit.
We already have. Go try to recruit mercenaries real quick. You'll see that there's not a lot available.
4.
Yep.
I can hire 4.
Yep.
Is
So
it just
after-
based on force limit? Total
it is
population?
It's based on force limit. But as you can see, it's a bit limited. You're never
Okay.
going to keep higher mercenaries up to your force limit. Anyway, quick
Yeah,
question.
there's no way I can actually afford to even hire like one of them right now. They cost a ducat a month. So,
Oh, yeah.
okay. How does religion work with regard to pops? Does each pop have its own religion? So, like a Victoria
we
2.
wish. It's divided into 11ths using the old DG system. So each 11th of your province has a assigned religion, and that's 11th of your population. And that's basically the smallest we can get without breaking the game. I mean, by breaking the game, I mean making the game go so slowly that you don't want to play it.
Is that why I've been seeing things like minor Jewish presence?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that representative like of an exact 11th then, or?
No, it's a little more fuzzy than that. We need to localize those variables and get them to actually give you percentages. But we'll do that in good time. That's old DG stuff again, but it's very good DG stuff.
They should actually have percentages like 20%.
They don't? I don't think.
Well, let's not
No.
delve
Yeah.
too much into it. We still have like 30 questions to go, though.
Yeah. 30?
Oh, geez. Yeah, no.
Yeah, we got
Will-
8 questions total.
Will loot be divided in a similar manner to technology? I've read on the forums that overseas provinces do not count towards education, hence will overseas provinces not get any loot from wars, but only your mainland? I've actually not understood loot
Me
fully.
a bit.
I see I'm usually, I take like a tenth. I take a tenth for the treasury, and then I don't really understand where the other 90% is going.
It goes to your province wealth, so it goes to your soldiers, right? Most of your soldiers, you then take it back to, the province, and then it basically goes into the fluid wealth, and so then it also goes into your farming efficiency as well for soldiers to go back to their farms. So after
So
a big war,
is
check
it
your farming
every-
efficiency, you might see a boost
Every province then is getting some of the money.
based on the proportion of their weight. Yeah, right.
Just to check the thing, I mean, there isn't anything about overseas provinces with that, is there? I've never seen anything like that in the code.
For loot, I mean, there's no reason we can't add it.
Well, right, but we don't have it right now.
Currently,
I
no.
think.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Going Viking is a viable strategy for building up a poor country.
Oh, God, yes,
yes,
it
it
is.
anyone who watched my stream, I came home with 10,000 ducats from sacking the Mamluks and the Levant, and it was pretty glorious.
Okay.
How did you
So,
even cart that
next
home?
up.
I
Watch
don't
wagon.
How will personal union mechanics be changed, if at all? What are the significant changes that have been done to dynastic and vanilla marriage? Consorts, personal
Not
unions?
a heck of a lot, actually. That's one of the better vanilla systems out there. Personal unions will definitely not be unlimited. I mean, you're not gonna see personal unions happening in harem countries like China or the Middle East or tribal Africa. But personal unions might end up being expanded to other places where it's actually conceivable for a king to marry a queen. Where there is a monogamous marriage system, basically. We'll see exactly how that works.
Well, I just want to let you know, I think I found a bug.
What's up?
On the screen, if you're looking right now, I was confused by this for a second. I have court level of 3, education level of 6. These, to my knowledge, had been 10% breakpoints, so I'm above 50, which puts me in the 6th category, giving me 6th level education. I should
Click
be in
on,
the fifth
go to the
category.
right menu. Go to the right menu and click on court level. Actually, click on it all the way to the right menu on the right. And when you click on it, click on court level. I think I localized it to have the breakpoints.
Okay, is that one different than the other one?
Yeah, it's not intense, I can tell you that.
Ta-da.
Or can I see the same thing for education, or no?
I don't think I've attached it yet, so sorry.
Okay, so, well, that's good to know then. It's not that it's broken or bugged, it's just that the the numbers are all inexplicably different.
Well, just, it doesn't go into tenths very well for courts.
New
To make it
numbers
harder to get
to memorize.
higher, better courts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I want to get to level 4, I'll need to get to 45, which is, again, state, court.
Just a word of warning to
I'm
you, but
almost
don't
there,
go
though.
up unless you need to go up. I mean, if you
Well,
got reason to go up there, go for it. But otherwise,
I don't-
it's just money.
what-
Money.
How would I know?
spent.
How would I even know what the benefits are without ever getting there? There's no way to see what the benefits will be if I go up by one level. How do
You
I
know,
assess?
That's actually a really good point. We should have a breakdown of both the benefits of education and such on. I think that's something we should probably have in the.
It wouldn't be
information.
difficult to add
that would be
localizations
hard.
there.
But
Yeah,
that's a good
like-
point that we should have that. People should
Like
have
great-
information. I'm a big fan of that.
I mean,
Yeah.
we do add a lot of information, but it's kind of, you know, it's only so much time to work on so much stuff. So yeah, we'll get around to it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the main reason I want to go up is I don't know what the benefits are and I want to find out, see if I like it or not.
Fair enough.
But
Fair enough.
is the Empire of China mechanic from the Mandate of Heaven DLC going to be incorporated into MNT?
Sun Wu, that's your baby.
So yes, it's going to be. It's going to be a different form because Paradox doesn't represent China well at all. The edicts will actually likely be negative and boost meritocracy, which is completely different from vanilla. So there's going to be things that you have to do that are not necessarily pleasant in order to keep the state stable, and things like floods are going to do bad things to you, and you got to keep your meritocracy up, or your legitimacy as the son of heaven collapses, and not exactly game over, but get wrecked.
Game over for anyone who's not a player, maybe.
Yeah.
And most players.
But on the other hand, one of the other modders kind of wants to use it for the Aztecs. So since we haven't really implemented the Mandate of Heaven thing, we're gonna look at it. It's very likely gonna go to China, but we haven't finished it out, and there's a small likelihood it could be used for a cool Aztec Empire thing.
So it's going
Okay.
somewhere. Next, institutions and tech levels.
Yeah. What can we expect?
Hey.
They're different. Lots of them are
Institutions
different.
are all Malorn.
You know,
Okay,
there's
so
like
first, we're going to break this down real simple here. You're going to cry about institutions, guys. That's just how it goes, okay? You're going to be like, why can't I have that institution? It's over there. Why won't it be over here? That's going to be your entire game. Institutions spread via a lot of methods, including trade, intellectual spread via art, centers of art. Centers of trade and center of art are both very important for institution spread, but they also just spread creeping across the province. The thing is, though, is that there is no guaranteed Europe gets all the stuff. It's gonna be who's ahead. If someone burns Europe down and Europe's a crap hole with no universities and no development and it's all peasants, you're not gonna see the Renaissance there. You're gonna see the Renaissance somewhere where the Renaissance would have happened otherwise. Lots of small states, really high educated, lots of good universities, that kind of thing. And you'll see that for all of these. They're very dynamic apart from the starting ones. There's also reinvention. Like meritocracy, you're not going to get from China. You're going to get meritocracy probably by inventing it in Europe in 1600, and that's going to be your best bet.
Yeah, I haven't had the entire campaign. I'm wondering about like when will that actually spread over here?
Well, meritocracy historically hit about 1700 or so in Europe. It took them a little while to figure that concept out. That the whole
and it's not
smart people should be in charge.
It's not like vanilla. I can't just click the development button to spawn it. So how do you get it?
You mean how do you reinvent it?
Yeah, like how do I get this darn thing without conquering China?
Okay. Reinvention basically comes down to creating the conditions necessary for it to spawn and having a lot of art power, which will increase the speed at which it will do so. The conditions are going to be highly specific to each one. So legalism, for example, you're going to see reinvented a couple of places. Any nation that manages to get centralized enough, get enough control under it, and takes the right steps towards that will start getting will pick up legalism, and then it will spread through their nation, or they could, of course, just spread into them normally. That happens. Something to consider, though, is that there is more than province spread out there. Trade can cause very fast spread of institutions in the right circumstances. Like, for example, if Britain is trading with China, then if they have 30% trade share in China, or even like 10% trade share in China, China will start getting institutions from Britain, as they did historically.
The odds of them getting 10% is no.
China has trade power issues, but it depends on how much. And that's kind of the situation here. But we also have intellectual spread, which can move it around the map quite a bit. Institutions are a very complex animal, though. The best thing to be kept in mind with institutions is don't view them as how to get. Remember, these are the replacements for tech groups. They're very dynamic and they're not deterministic, but people should try to create institutions when they can, obviously. But sometimes you just live with a little bit of tech penalty. It's not like a lot of other things in the game where you just go out there and get them. You can sometimes, and it's great when you can.
The frustration, it's if you're playing in Italy, most of the institutions are going to likely start there or near there, especially in the early games, so it won't be so bad. But if you play at the periphery, so like in Germany or Scotland, you might get very frustrated as it can take a while to get institutions.
If you build yourself into this intellectual powerhouse, though, you'll get institutions through intellectual spread. In fact, that's one of the major things, making those really pressure cooker cities where you have a lot of art power, where you have a lot of very intelligent people, and that's down to universities, high education, things like that. And that will allow you to pick up intellectual concepts from a pretty wide range. But yeah, you're not going to see stuff coming from Asia anytime soon. That doesn't happen. Sometimes you just have to deal with it. I mean, I know Europe's used to having all the best of everything, but they didn't. Meritocracy was something they didn't have for a long time.
It's not really a huge penalty to not have meritocracy. It's like, what, 20%, I think? Or is it more now?
No,
it's just 20%. Yeah. So it's just part of the cost of doing business.
Yeah, and
basically.
I mean, China's getting that dang banking penalty, and assuming all goes to plan and history plays out like it, and believe me, it doesn't have to, but assuming it does, you're going to see the Renaissance starting here. You're going to see a casual literacy starting, and Europe will do that thing that it did historically, which is this giant rise to power. And as you've said yourself, monarch points are not the be-all and end-all necessarily.
At least in this mod.
Yes.
So,
yeah, I understand. It feels very different.
Yeah. All right. Is the AI capable of colonizing and expanding overseas?
Yes.
Can the AI boat good?
The AI can boat better than vanilla. They do have a little bit of trouble with invasions just because they're a little derpy about that sometimes, as we all know. But they definitely do it a lot better than they used to do it. You'll see that in the 100 Years' War, England will, in fact, actually land on the continent. Shocking!
What? Excuse me? Hold on. Let's roll back. I was at war with France because England declared war on France.
Did they
No, sorry. He declared war on... Okay, this is just rage-inducing. He declares war on Brittany. Okay, at least he was smart about that. He didn't declare on France, so France didn't get to call in his rivals. He was non-co-belligerent. So then he calls me in to fight against Brittany. His subject is too stupid to ever go for the war goal, ever. So the war drags on until Bob can come salvage things.
I can't save you. That is Paradox AI, and we can't... where the AI sends its armies, we have nothing for. I'm sorry. I would love to have control over that. I would love it, but we don't have it.
So the real issue, though, is that England declares this war on Great Britain, even though on Brittany, even though he has 15,000 troops parked in London. He didn't think maybe he should move them over onto the mainland before he declared war, and he doesn't have naval superiority. So I just get chat on by France because
the problem with the naval superiority, it will not move them ahead of time. I wish it would, but it's too damn dumb to do that. The major problem with the naval superiority is you're dealing with early England. Early England's naval superiority didn't really happen until about 1500 or so. That was when they became a naval power. And so you're dealing with early England, which, believe you me, is the backwater of Europe, according to most people.
Wait.
So the 100 Years' War was lost for a reason, let's just say. Also, your France
wasn't that much of a backwater. It had a fairly high wealth to population ratio compared to France, but it was not so great.
Also, it just comes down to the fact your France did amazingly. We were watching a stream and just like, wait, what? What do you mean there is no Aquitaine? How? That's like, I'd say maybe 20% outcome. 80% of the time, things get... Yeah, your France was retardedly powerful. More so than usual.
I found a new decision in this version of the game. Dispatch runners. Warning, this can crash your system. Sounds like fun. Let's do it.
That will show you the CE system happening in real time on the trade map. It's a little scary though, because sometimes it crashes. But it's there as a great option. Now you're not going to see anything that fancy for you because you don't have big empire. But
do I pause the game or
no?
Is it while it's running?
Maybe at 3's good. 3 should be fine.
What am I looking for?
Go to trade MEIOU. Trade view. More of our hacked stuff.
Not seeing anything yet. What are we looking for?
It already happened. If you go to your trade map view.
Do it again.
You wait for a little bit, but if you go to your trade map view, you'll see those. You'll literally see them spread across your land. Is it trade map? Yeah, it's trade map. They are gone now. But you see that thing right on your capital?
Mm-hmm.
The one that looks like has a bunch of pluses next to it?
Yeah, let's see, CE.
Yeah, that will slowly spread as you let time pass, showing you in real time as your runners are analyzing your empire and making out CE. It's really great to see how CE is happening, like which province it's coming from, that kind of stuff. It's
there they go. Well, they go through really quickly because I've got ports in most of these provinces, and I've got like 5 provinces.
You have a very small empire. You have a very efficient empire as such.
Yes, we are efficient and strong and good. How will the mod improve colonization and exploration? Wrong keybinds. Okay.
Exploration? Exploration's exploration. I mean, we have a little improvements for it. Nothing major though, just because it's pretty much it's a black box. But colonization, yeah, we have a lot of improvement for there, both in how colonies behave towards you and measure their power versus you, and actually maybe we'll see some independence wars. But I think the major improvement with colonization is just you're going to see a little bit more historicity in terms of where people are going to colonize. You're going to see less people colonizing places that there's no way they could have colonized, or colonizing really early. Like you won't see colonization in your time period, for example. You just won't see it.
We also have there's going to be 3 types of colonies, effectively. You've got tropical, you have temperate, and you have Arctic. For tropical, you have your plantation colonies, so the slave colonies, the sugar trade, the Caribbean, all that good stuff. For the temperate, it's going to be population colonies, so you're going to have people go there, and they're going to grow food, which doesn't sound very lucrative. It's like, why do that if they're just growing wheat and stuff? But it's actually
then they grow like weeds.
To your plantation economies. Because
they also grow like weeds.
What? Yeah. Because the plantation economies are focusing on sugar, they're not only producing food. So how you get that is you have people go to the temperate places, and they actually export food. So they grow lots of food, and it gets exported to the continental pool. And from there, the slaves buy it, and that allows the tropical colonies to do better. For the Arctic, like Canada, it's kind of like wasteland. I live in Canada. It's frozen wasteland. So
global warming.
Canada's like mostly tundra.
Canada.
Yeah.
And the biggest city in Siberia has better weather than it. I'm not joking.
To answer this, one of the things that will be massively improved in colonization, sort of the Bible, is we model land capacity and population. So when you get over to the New World, you're going to be in this land which could support so many more people that are there. So they're going to just do what they did historically and start reproducing in massive numbers. And it's going to be really easy to farm early on. You're going to get tons of food from things. You're going to get lots of population growth. You're going to see that explosion in population growth. As for Portugal, yes, you can colonize as Portugal. They did historically, and they definitely will. They do, in fact.
Okay. There are more trade nodes. Are there more merchants as well? And is it possible to make a global trade empire like the Portuguese?
Yes and yes. Small moment of detail, just a couple sentences, is you will get more merchants, especially if you get the right ideas. Merchants are very idea locked and a little bit behind colonial. Global trade empires are possible. You are going to have to focus on that, though. You can't do that on the cheap. And you're not going to see vanilla global trade. I mean, trade is not just this insane amount of money. You get a lot from trade if you can control trade. But you're going to have to see like people bringing things from China if you want to see the profits that were done by bringing things from China, so to speak.
Okay. Yeah, I only have one merchant, so.
Yeah, you don't need any merchants. Go get trade ideas.
What changes did you bring to the Native Americans? Are they in the game? And if not, will they be? Are they playable?
They get massacred by
are.
plagues.
Yeah, they get massacred by plagues. The changes we did is they have historical population numbers up until the plagues hit. And how the plagues hit them is a very complex system. I believe it was courtesy of... was that Teasus? Yeah, that was Tisa.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tis a Flesh Wound. He made a great plague system, which hits very complexly. So if you see relatively slow plague, the natives may manage to cope and end up with a very ahistorical new world. At the same time, it could be worse than it was in the real world, in which case you're going to be dealing with a continent that's entirely empty. As far as native tag goes, North American natives are not in right now. I have a personal goal of getting them in eventually, but that's something that's going to be a lot in the future, because that's going to take a lot of work to make good mechanics.
2.16 or something.
Oh, that could be like 2.8. I don't even know. But the Native Americans, in terms of like the Aztecs and the surrounds around them, and in short, Central America and South America, yeah, they're in. They have pretty good mechanics for them. They get devastated by the plague, but one of the major things you're going to have to do is resist those plagues. Or if you want to be a real troll, there's, institutions aren't locked to Europe. Maybe Europe turns into a crap hole and somehow, through some miracle, but this is a player challenge. The AI will not succeed in doing this, but it is possible for you to become the actual people. It's not likely. It's insanely unlikely, but it is possible.
So I can't fight corruption at all right now. The event.
Yeah, I don't even know why that's in. Damn, I thought you disabled that.
Yeah, I disabled it in a different branch, and so if you're getting state corruption, then that's...
You disabled that, I think. Oh, you disabled that in the
1.21 branch. Yeah.
Not the, okay. Sorry. Yeah, that's coming eventually. It's just a feature that took more complexity than we had time for our release date, and it was not necessary.
Okay. So, just out of curiosity, we've already been going for 2 hours, and I'm willing to go for at least another hour, maybe up to 2. Probably not 2 though, because it's a lot. It's really late already here. But we still have like, say, 60% of the questions that were submitted that we wanted to cover remaining. How do you guys want to handle these?
Let's try to move a little bit. We'll just try to keep on track. I know I've been responsible for a few digressions.
Maybe I'll have to just stop playing. But I feel like people want to see the game. They want to see it going on.
Yeah,
and if you do,
that's a really good thing.
There's like 12 hours of gameplay from the last 3 days up on the Twitch stream, and then also Demian, you were playing for a few minutes apparently, which turned into 7 hours on your YouTube channel. So
yeah, I mean, it was the first game I'd played in a long time. Just because when you're developing something, you're spending most of the time actually coding. It was just a lot of fun. I'm like, hey, wow, this is interesting. So
yeah, I tend to load up the game and just be like, okay, so is this thing that will happen? Actually, playing the game is a rare luxury right now. So yeah, let's just move on these questions and see what we can get done, because I know there's some really good questions down there.
Quick suggestion for you, just because I'm doing the math every time myself, is that on the Education of Provence, where it says like education level, change last year, total endowment, there should just be like 3 more lines, or like at least 1 more line that just says like the percentage that will be spent, and then so for example, I have 252.05.
Why not just tell you the amount that'll be spent? Who cares if it's a percentage? We can just give the exact amount. Yeah,
say the endowment will spend this much next year, and then take that number minus the current contributions from church and state, and say that the endowment is expected to decrease by this much next year.
Okay, I think we can do that.
Just so that you can see what the equilibrium point is without having to pull up a calculator and say, what's 252.005 times 0.05?
More information is always good. I'm a favorite.
Subtract, carry the 1. Yeah, so basically I'm 7.8 ducats overfunded if I want to maintain this level of endowment, and it's just, I don't know, it could be useful.
Okay. We'll keep
Are you saying it's unreasonable to expect people to have memorized the quadratic formula?
Well, that one's pretty easy. Everyone knows that one.
Formula.
I don't play games to do math.
Wait, hold on, number 38 is really important.
Yes.
How to deal with magnates who are against making alliances. I've noticed this, like, Hungary was rival to someone that I cared about, but they are just like, nah. Something about powerful magnate within the nation does not want to involve themselves.
It's eventually going to get integrated as a privilege, probably, eventually, into all sorts of countries. It is right now just Hungary and Poland specific, but right now it's a very old feature, and like we're talking a couple of years old. That was before we even had institutions and estates and all that fancy stuff. So that's probably going to turn into a privilege, which is just basically your nobles saying, yeah, it's great that you want to go be part of this big alliance, but we don't like foreigners. We don't want to get into foreign wars, and that's going to be, of course, rather bad. But there will be no way to get rid of it from the outside. That's going to be an inside thing. But of course, a nation that can't have allies, that's not going to end so well.
Okay. Is it a viable strategy to try and develop poor provinces rather than dump all the focus into a wealthy one?
Yes.
So spreading out.
We have done that. It's a completely viable strategy. There's actually 2 different ways to go about that.
More of a decentralized approach, and yeah.
Yeah.
When I see some of the costs,
it's definitely. I mean, as you noted, that incredible stacking cost that happens when you try to develop one city, that encourages you to move outward. It's like, yeah, don't build here. There's not much land here. Land is expensive here. It's like trying to develop in Tokyo.
Yeah. Okay. I'm missing all the subs, by the way. I'll have to do it at the end of the stream or the beginning of the next stream. I'll go through the whole list. Anyone that is subscribing on Twitch, thank you guys. I don't have enough monitors. I need more than 3, apparently.
By the way, guys, we really appreciate that you're letting Arumba take a break on that, because we're just trying to get through these questions as fast as possible, and there are so many. And they're good questions. They're really good questions.
If you control different super regions, how is food split? Will food prioritize being sent to the continental food pool, or will you control the majority of the food being sent to your main region before being sent to the continental food pool?
I'm going to let Damien have that one.
That sounds like a... Yeah, that's a food
How much
question.
time do we have left again?
Okay.
It could be a little dense.
Real quick answer. It doesn't go in...
That question's much better. Whoever asked it, come visit me on my stream that I'll be doing, and I'll be able to give it to you in much more detail, because I can give you numbers and during an actual game. So I don't want to slough it off, but it's a bit dense and it'll be easier.
I can give it a 2-sentence answer though.
Okay, all right.
When you're exporting food, you'll see farming estates in your nations. Those export food and give you money. When it goes to the continental pool, you're making money off of selling that food. If it's in the regional pool, it just moves around in the regional pool, without necessarily making you money. So not all of it will go to the continental pool, and it's not nation bound at all. Food does not go to your nation first for some reason. It goes to your province before it goes somewhere else, but then it can go all over the place. Anyway, moving on.
Okay. For the record,
I didn't mess that up, right?
the Provencal people have decided that it's the pirate's life for me. We now make fully half of our monthly income comes from stealing all ye plunder from the Venetians, and it is good. So
yes,
we're making
3.3. Is incredibly profitable for some reason.
Yeah. Will the mod add new ways to deal with revolts?
There already are some. Certainly, there's new kinds of revolts. I mean, when your estate revolts, all those, troops you call up from your greater nobles. If they revolt against you, those just become troops instantly. Those just appear and start ravaging your nation. There are also the traditional revolts. I have a lot of plans with Unrest, though we have some limited tools with that. But yeah, there's going to be some changes to how you deal with Unrest, partially just because it's much harder to avoid it. It's much less absolute. You get Unrest at the fringes of your empire where you don't have very good control, even while your core is quite healthy. So instead of having Unrest everywhere, you normally end up with Unrest in some places. Which is very different from vanilla, from my experience with vanilla.
You're going to need to garrison outer regions.
Yeah. Forts in the outer regions, man, those are good.
No, and have armies, because
because getting there takes a while. Okay, let's move.
All right.
Satisfactory. I mean, Arumba, you tell me if I missed something here.
You guys actually, okay, just so people are aware, we do have people who are still asking questions in Twitch chat, and the moderators are passing those through, and we're going to try to cover some of those soonish. I just wanted to make sure that we definitely cover as many of these original ones as we can, which I accidentally just deleted because I have too many monitors open. Is that these were like kind of pre-screened and then organized into like a workflow. So yeah, when you guys feel like the question is answered appropriately, then we can move on.
Well, I'm just saying, if you think there's something we've missed on it, You just let us know, though, because, I mean, we're happy to clarify.
How is the state's money spending programmed, and can I control it?
Yeah, how many hours do we have? Okay, short answer, no, you cannot control it. You can influence
That's the point.
it somewhat. You can definitely influence it slightly, but they are programmed to spend it as intelligently as they can, basically. They will use many of the same things that we've programmed for the AI. We've redone the whole way the AI builds buildings.
Okay. I also have another way to answer that question. If you want to control the money, you need to take away their autonomy. That's how you control it.
Yeah, that's how you control it. You take it away by
question.
saying, no, I want that money. That's the whole reason you want that money. But they will try to build up, they will try to build up where it'll profit the most. High autonomy provinces are where they're going to want to build buildings, just like you are going to look at autonomy and go like, well, that's 100% autonomy. I don't want to build a building there. That isn't going to give me any money. They're going to do the same thing in reverse.
That would be interesting to see. Interested to see how that code actually works, because how did you teach the AI to like high autonomy?
We took away
you
its
export the
control.
variable. You know.
Yeah, it doesn't use the vanilla building system anymore.
Oh,
it's for players.
good. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
completely-
AI is
completely
better
different.
because there's less paradox AI making decisions.
Yeah.
Much.
Yeah. I made a small mod at one point called Smarter AI and completely redid the building logic, because they would build, and they still do build, freaking docks, because you know what we need more of is sailors.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
Nope. My solution at the time had been to just say AI will do equals no. You will never build docks, because no player in the existence in the history of E4 has ever built a dock and did it intentionally and thought afterward that was a good idea.
I'm sure somebody has. Doesn't mean they were right. Okay, formable nations.
No.
Can you culture shift? There are formable nations, and yes, you can culture shift. Is it different from the base game? Generally, a lot harder.
Okay. So you guess, yes, you can, and it's hard.
Yeah.
How does the
Or you
mod?
need to nerf how much stability that hits you for. I think it's still -5, which is
I might need to take that down a little bit. Yeah. The requirements are also harsher. Yeah, you're not going to be able to be like, this is 5% of my nation. I'm going to culture shift to it. It's like, no, you're not.
get wrecked.
Okay.
Formables. This is the same question. This is why I put them in order. It doesn't. I mean, obviously, those things can happen if the right things happen, but history diverges. And one of the major points we're trying to do is we want history to diverge in plausible ways, but it's still going to diverge. The Mughals, you'll definitely see a lot. You sometimes see. We definitely don't railroad those in, though, because players don't generally like having railroaded, pre-scripted stuff. Definitely looks for an opportunity to have it happen, though. I mean, if the right conditions exist, they will form. Of course, someone else might come in, too. Do the same thing.
Okay. Will different societies, cultures have unique... I'm
Culture
playing the
shift, I'm a
game and
redneck,
listening.
now I declare it Japanese. That's good.
Culture shift is such a rare thing. Like, you have to start the campaign intending to do it, that I just kind of, my eyes glazed over a little bit. It's like, yeah.
Fair
I
enough.
wish I
Rare.
had time to tell you about my epic adventures in EU3 Death and Taxes.
No, you can go scream your own thing.
Will different societies or cultures have unique ways in which they are played and must be ruled, like a daimyo?
Yes. Very.
Okay.
Autonomy mechanics, you're going to see different estates, different places. You're going to see different mixes of estates, some different options inside of estates. Daimyos are obviously, they're actually vassals, and they will do all kinds of trouble for Japan. Even you're seeing it in France. France is a weird country from like a vanilla perspective right now, because they have tons of vassals and they have huge autonomy, and they're still really powerful, kind of. The thing you're hoping is that they're going to get in a fight with their nobles. If the king, pukes on some noble shoes, France is going down. That's the dream. I'm joking slightly, but there are events which really sometimes come down to that.
Well,
It's just
France
like,
almost... The war that I had in this campaign, France almost died. Like, if it had just gone a little bit better, if we could have just... He declared war on Liège or me or... No, somebody, and he almost bit off more than he could chew, but not quite.
But yeah, they're a very odd country, and you'll see that in other places. India certainly is very, very unusual. The hordes are going to be very unusual, not just paradox raising mechanics, which honestly I think we don't like very much, but we'll probably have a version of that. The hordes already get a special looting option that is what we like to call the Genghis Khan Timur option, where it's just like burn everything, kill everybody, take all the money. It's like looting speed. What is it, like looting speed plus 80 or something? We changed looting speed, by the way. It's now called what it is actually. It's looting.
I need to declare an offensive war so I can test this.
Of course, that's a good reason. Espionage. We're improving a little of it, but nothing on the level that they're asking. No, espionage we definitely balanced a lot, but no major new mechanics with it.
Yep. Looting speed doesn't show up in here. Damn.
That's frustrating.
Yep. What changes have been made for trade companies, and have the changes you've implemented made it more likely for Europeans to expand into Asia?
Sunwoo.
Well, if you look at history, the Europeans didn't really get much of a foothold into India until very, very late in the game. People are like, oh, why can't I into India as England in 1500? Yeah, if you look at history, that was like the 18th century, the end of the 18th century. It's really not going to be that easy.
You want to go on trade companies a little bit? Because I remember you had something for that.
Oh, yeah. I actually wrote a special mechanic for India. And so if you got enough provinces in India, including at least like an area contiguous, you could basically create another country there. Which, if you were Britain, it was the British Raj. If you were Portugal, it was the Estado do India, which was like the state of India, which is what they had their thing. And so it was effectively I messed with the mechanics, so you create a colonial nation, even though it's not a colony thing at all. And so it functions as its own country. You could select different forms of autonomy. You could choose a colonial nation, if it could be a colonial nation. So it'd be like its own country with its own monarch pool and buildings and stuff like that, and its own army. But it couldn't really declare wars on its own. But you could choose a more autonomous form, which was a protectorate, and so it could declare wars, had its own CBs, and that kind of stuff. So you'd get lots of trade power from that, but the other one allowed you to get gold and treasure ships and that kind of stuff. So it all depended on how much you wanted to do and how much autonomy you wanted to give it. So it was cool. And it's going to be expanded to at least the East Indies. So you can have the Dutch East Indies, because they were in real life, they were basically its own country. It had its own currency, it had its own navy, its own army. Yeah, it was a country.
Just a country dominated by someone else. So yeah, that's where we are. One other thing I will mention just on this, since we're on this topic, there are also the trade port provinces, which are in very historical major European areas where they eventually became trade ports. Those are designed to dominate trade. So for example, in Africa, you can just take all the little trade port provinces around Africa, and if you do your job right, I mean, you're a European country, so hopefully you are, you can make those into massive trade powers that just outnumber anything else there, if you do your job right. Nothing special about the provinces or anything. They're just there. Anyway.
They're also just useful for having trade fleets.
Yes. So, onward. Different continents, I never possible to do states. Well, I kind of already answered that. I did take Africa. It took all of my skill, honestly, to do it, and it was 1770 when I finished, and I had vassals. Yeah, I learned real early there that I started as Ethiopia, just to give someone some clarification, and I had all of legitimate Africa. I mean, I had all of it. I'd colonized all of it. It was mine, my Africa. But there were definitely vassals down in South Africa and stuff. Like, the whole lower half had a bunch of vassals on it, and that was just because it was so far away that I wanted to actually get something out of it. And that was vassals. Sometimes you keep your vassals because they're going to get more money and give you more money than you would if you controlled it directly. But yeah, it's possible. World conquest? Oh, God, no. That goes back to the challenge. I have a challenge. I don't think it's possible. If it is possible, I'd love to know how.
Yeah, the more you say that, the more it makes me want to try it.
Good. Go for it. Go for it.
But you're going to have to fix a lot of these tooltips. I'm telling you.
Well, if you'll notice, every time we give you a new copy, there's more and more things.
It's better. It's better every time. Yeah, it's true. And the music, by the way, thank you for fixing the 0-second songs, because I just get to listen to, like, I don't know, like 50 minutes of really good music that I haven't heard before. Where did the music come from? Like, I already asked that question. It was somebody on the forums.
Down. Yeah, it is. He's done all the music for us. He's done it. Oh, has he? Did he start with EU4? Did he start with EU3? I think he started with EU3. Son, you?
Luke W. contacted him before EU4 came out. So I talked to him, and I got a response from him. And his response is, when EU4 was still in development, I got contacted by Luke on behalf of the team asking if I'd like to do some music for a mod they were planning. I figured, sure, sounds like fun. The music is in a very different place now than it was at the beginning. Originally, it was mainly covers of period music and classical compositions. After spending some period of time writing original music, the older stuff was phased out in favor of original works. The majority of the music is now entirely original, with some covers being recorded 100% by myself. Included in the covers are, for example, Greensleeves, a variety of medieval hymns, some Latin, most Greek Orthodox, and other period songs. The songs themselves are produced through use of sampled sounds, giving the illusion of real instruments. There's not a single real instrument in any of the recordings, and I myself handled every aspect of composing, recording, arranging, mixing, and mastering. I used to also do the code implementation of all the songs before the music players overhauled and broke it all. But in a way, the music player eliminates the need for the code at all. If you don't want a certain song to play because either you don't like it or it isn't appropriate for the culture you're playing, as like Chinese music during the early game of Spain wouldn't make much sense, you can turn it off song by song. So that's what he had said, and so previously it was the game hit, so it was weighted, and there was lots of different things. So like if you're at war, it had certain weightings, and if you're peace, it's certain weightings. And so there, if you'll notice, there's different kinds of music. Like there's some Chinese themed music, and so if you're a Chinese country that played super often, it played fairly often, to try to give it an immersive experience. But now it's you can kind of just select whatever songs you want.
Yeah. So that's pretty much where the music came from.
Oh, and I will drop in our Skype thing a link to his SoundCloud page.
Yeah, if you want to post that Arumba or not, as you wish.
Sure. So, dynamic trade notes. I think maybe I caused some confusion here because I said something about it the other day.
I remember
the notes, that. The notes themselves don't change. The directions, I have asked about this for years. I've wanted Paradox to make it a thing. It's hard-coded. But
I agree with you.
But you have still made it dynamic, which is why I said they're dynamic. And the way they're dynamic is that the actual estuaries and centers of trade will move.
Well,
they are not. Estuaries are not.
The estuaries are geographical features. They don't move.
Well, they actually can wash away. I've tested it.
Yeah, that's true. But
the centers of trade can move.
Yeah, the centers of trade are very dynamic and will move all over the place. And they are very important because, as we mentioned earlier, they are one of the major ways of getting institutions long distance. So having centers of trade in your country means you might get institutions. Kind of a big deal.
And centers of trade will basically appear wherever the most trade is.
Yep.
And then the more trade power that exists on a subcontinent, the more trade centers will be generated.
And they compete with each other as well.
Right.
To a certain
you can
extent.
usurp someone else's trade center by getting more trade power and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. This is an actual in-game question I have for you right now. I have a subject whose name is Gorizia, and myself as well as Twitch can't figure this one out. He's got a claim on the province of Padova, which is the main reason I vassalized him. When I look at his tag, he has no Casus Belli on him, even though he has a claim. Why can't he attack Padova, and why can't I use my subject's claim right now?
You should be able to use your subject's claim. I'm not quite sure why you shouldn't be able to do that. Have you tried? I assume.
I've been looking around. Every other subject I can do it with, but for whatever reason, Gorizia won't let me use his claim.
Is the target landlocked?
Doesn't look like it. Padova's got a port right there on the edge.
That one, I mean, I don't know that one. I don't quite get why that is. Maybe something to do with the Holy Roman Empire? I don't know. Anyone else?
Shouldn't make any difference. I'm in the HRE. He's in the HRE. As long as
I'm not saying it should make a difference. I'm not quite sure why it's doing it.
Weird.
Yeah, that is a little odd. We'll have to go take a look at the CVs again because we have a lot of CVs.
Will the mod add new idea groups? Yes.
Yes. The answer is yes. We're actually right now in the middle of redoing the idea groups for the release. You're actually playing with the old ones. Just as yeah.
Wait, what happens if I get the new version and then I've got Is he going to break my save? Because the save is really good.
We won't do that. We won't do that to you. We'll, if necessary, we'll give you the old ones. But yeah, we are definitely working towards some new ideas and such. We can also actually convert your save game if you want us to sometime. If you do want to play with the new ideas, we can just convert it over. Do a little. Okay. Oh wait, you're an Iron Man, aren't you? We can't do that.
No, I'm actually not because it's live and stuff. But by the way, you know how you did the thing for education and court level? There should really be some sort of prompt to let you know that you've finished the assimilation of a nation. Like, I have no idea how long ago it's been, but Saluzzo is apparently fully assimilated.
Yeah,
There's no alert
on that.
It says, "Hey, you can annex your subjects now." So, anyway,
I totally agree with you there.
Okay, so mod will add new idea groups. Awesome.
Yep.
How will industrialization eventually function?
Well, first off, it is an institution, but on top of that institution, you're going to see a major, like if you go look at steam factories, for example, in the building thing, you'll notice that they're insane. They're amazingly good.
Steam factory? Is that which
the highest end of it's the highest end of the workshop.
Customs house, merchant quarter, warehouse district, warehouse.
You need workshops. Go for the ones that are workshops, and then go to the end of it.
Workshops.
Or from the bottom.
Gotcha.
Pick one.
Sorry. 2 urban gravity, so that's going to make roughly what? It's going to draw 2 urban pop.
The urban gravity is the exciting part. The exciting part is just how much it will allow you to produce.
Holy crap. The first 20 urban pops will produce 1.5 urban production power each.
Also the amount that the ones that are not beyond the first 20. I mean, you put one of those down and suddenly you're producing so many goods. I mean, that is the point of the game where production and trade income start just making tax income look like a joke. You may notice tax income is like your majority income right now. But yeah, you get up to that point. Industrialization is just like, yeah, I build all the things.
No, actually most of my money comes from Venice. We just steal all of their stuff. But for the record, that building, the Steam thing, is 2,500 ducats. Building my capital. So
yeah, but then you toss in a level 2 warehouse giving plus 30% urban production, and
fast.
You're Scrooge McDucket swimming in pools of.
But industrialization will not be modeled in the way that, say, like Victoria 2 did. I mean, it would be great, but no, we can't do it. We can't. Actually, that's not true. We could code it, but we could not make it so that you could actually see what the heck was going on. We could code it, I think, but not in a way that the player could understand and interact with. That's interface work beyond what Paradox lets us do.
I know how to do it. It would take a long time, and I'm afraid it would kill game speed.
That too, it would also kill the game speed. But yeah, industrialization won't be that kind of thing, but it will definitely be. It will be a major shift across the nation. Look at railroads, for example. Are insane. Railroads reduce the travel speed across your nation. So all of a sudden, these big sprawling nations, which have been fighting autonomy their entire time, start building railroads, and it's like, yeah, we can get there tomorrow. What's the problem?
Are railroads part of the roads interface?
They are, yes. They're the cap level on roads. If you go look at, if you go hover over some terrain, it'll tell you what happens at the various things. You notice that 4th one that just gets that retarded reduction of travel time that like halves the travel time across plains and things like that.
Okay, as favorable terrain, each level of road network decreases the travel time across this province by 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and 1.5 days.
Yeah, and that 1.5 is when railroad kicks in. And when you go look at, say, mountains or things like that, the ability to tunnel under that kind of stuff, railroads are just in a class of their own.
So hold on, is this telling me the specific amount of days it takes to travel between 2 provinces? Like, did you get rid of the center point to center point stuff?
No. It should not say days.
This is about communication efficiency,
yes,
then,
or it is about communication efficiency. I need to change that away from days. Again, this has been a consistent thing. We calculate it using days, but no, it does not. It does not relate to how long it takes your army to get there.
It's just units, basically. You could call it whatever you want, but it's just units.
So the units.
The bad.
So you're saying that in the beginning of the game, when my army takes like 50 days to march from point A to point B, they march through the jungle. But then 400 years later with the railroads, they are still forced to march through the jungle.
No, not at all. Roads actually provide a massive movement speed buff. Railroads do something like 200% movement speed. So they may be marching through the jungle, but they're marching through the jungle 3 times faster.
Where will I see that though? I don't see like a
You'll see it
tooltip
on the
showing
roads.
movement
If
speed.
you mouse over the roads, you should see a nice little movement speed buff on them. And obviously, when railroads get all the way up there, I think we need to get those back into the building interface for a couple reasons. It was a nice experiment, but
where do I see the roads? Are they like a building?
yeah, they're a building, straight up normal building.
But I can't go like B7 and then like look at them on the map, so I don't know which provinces
We're
have
gonna,
them.
I think, fix that. That was an experiment, but your province should. Yeah, no, that's not going to be useful
Road network?
anyway. Yeah, road network.
Friendly movement speed plus 50, hostile movement speed plus 25. And so, say like France occupies my capital, then I'm considered hostile to it because they have control of it.
I don't actually know. I think maybe.
Well, that's how it works in vanilla with Scorched Earth.
Then yeah, that's probably how it works. But
it's based on who has control.
But yeah, that means when you get up to railroads, you're looking at like plus 200%, maybe more. I think it's like plus 250%. So all of a sudden, you can race your armies around in your territory because you control the railways, and you'll see something a little bit like maybe pre-World War I, where attacking someone into their own territory, they can maneuver so much faster than you because of that halved effect. Sure, you can move faster too because you're using their railroads, but not as fast as they can move. So they can move troops around you and just run circles around you.
Oh, yeah. Shattered is going to be fun.
Oh, Shatter's just going to be like, bam, they're gone. And you're just like, where'd they go?
Yeah, unfortunately, because it's paradox math, the 50% increased movement speed is not doubling. It's
no.
They do funky math.
50%, that makes sense to me. But yeah, 250%, however, is more than tripling. It's so yeah, railroads will make you pretty dang fast, even over bad terrain.
Okay. So what about building canals? Is that a troll feature in this mod as well? Pointless money sink that you'll never succeed in and serves no practical purpose?
You don't mean canals in China. You mean like the Suez Canal and stuff.
Well, that's what comes to mind to me when you say the word canal.
I'm sorry. We have
paradox
a whole
troll
system in China now, which Sunwoo could explain at great depth. But yeah, you can do it. We have not balanced around it. We eventually probably will get it down to something sane because it should be like some really crazy end goal, but it's still going to be a crazy end goal because these things weren't built in the time period. They just weren't. Didn't happen. Possible? Yes. Likely? No.
So religious scandals, they keep popping up. And in order to make the scandal go away, I remember I had to do something. I had to
They also just
grant
go
an
away
indulgence.
Yeah, they'll also go away over time. Yeah, they will also just fade off of you. You can see the expiration date on your country modifiers.
Sure, but for 5 ducats, I can get 3 legitimacy. That's pretty good, usually.
You want to be secular, right?
I do, yeah.
Don't get you want religious problems then. You want all the religious problems. You're gonna be like, look how problematic this church is. Let's take all their stuff so they can't cause trouble again. You want to cause trouble.
Keep in mind, my mission right now is to become the Curia controller.
Oh, well then.
And I have a 46.6% chance of success.
So much for the secularism there.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna take control of it, and then I'm gonna kill the church.
Definitely do that. If you're Palpal controller, you can push the reform desire to the roof. You to play your cards right with some events. So that should be fun.
Cool. All right. Oh wow, this is a big one. Many of the mechanics you have developed for the mod have had the burden of having to work around many of the limitations of the game engine and unmodular nature of some of the elements within the game. How much has this limited you in your vision of the mod?
Man, obviously there's things that you've seen in these answers that we're giving. I mean, there's things we're just like, we can't get to that. We can't do that. We can't do X. We can't do this. To answer the end of the question, which is what we wish would make moddable, I think the thing we would most want is either army control or diplomacy. At least that's my personal view.
Custom map modes would be nice too, so we didn't have to
custom map modes would be really nice, so we could stop hacking the map modes.
And really, what would help?
How about being able to scale the units so we didn't have to have a compatibility DLC for every single one?
Yeah, I don't think that's the most.
And also, being able to express variables in modifiers, being able to express variables in the interface.
Building tooltips.
Building tooltips.
Imagine if we could have arrays.
There's quite the list. We've definitely worked a lot about that, but I would not call Paradox, and especially EU4, unmodular. I think that what we've done is actually a testament to it. I can't think of another game you could do this with except maybe Skyrim?
Civilization 4.
No, I've seen what they can do with Civilization 2. It's impressive, but you can't do this. It's a very modular and very moddable game, and Paradox has been putting in a huge amount of effort into making it more so. They've been working with us very closely. Many of us have beta access. I can't say which of us, for disclosure reasons. But, and obviously the whole thing with ParadoxCon, we're going to be able to present there. They've been very open to modding and are only getting more so. Some of the stuff they've added, honestly, has no utility in the base game. I mean, they've added stuff that is specifically, basically for us, for MNT. And we very much appreciate that. So I would not say that it was a bad thing. Obviously, it'd be better to have our own game engine, but, you know, that would cost a lot more money and effort. So
Paradox is definitely supporting us.
Yeah, Paradox is by far the best company in terms of mod support, except, as I said, maybe Bethesda. And definitely we will rant and rave as Paradox logic and Paradox coding and God Paradox Y, but we are not remotely hostile to them. I mean, not just in a, oh God, please don't kill us hostile, but they've been very supportive. They've been very outreach. They've gone way out of their way to show that we're a valuable part of the community.
We have also found a number of bugs for them and helped them diagnose stuff.
Yes, so. And we also make people buy DLCs, apparently, according to Johan. So, Johan thinks we do that. Anyway, onward.
Do you consider any of the DLC to be intrusive to the game's mechanics?
There's a few almost anything in DLC we can disable. So if we don't like it, we get rid of it. A lot of stuff is useful, very useful. Like absolutism, I was just like, yay! Oh, we don't have to do this hackneyed, crappy way. We can do it this way. I like most of the DLC mechanics, honestly, though of course the fact that they're DLC only means we don't get to use them as much as we'd like to, because we really try not to, screw our fan base over in that respect, and we don't want to be like, hey, you have to have money to play our mod.
I would recommend getting Mandate of Heaven because we're going to have tributaries put in.
Yeah, tributaries are going to be one of those things we just can't get out of the game. I mean, the mod will work without them, but the balance will be all kind of crap. I honestly have to say I take a stand, and this is not speaking for the team. This is personal here. I think some of the team would agree with me, but I don't know how much. I don't think the DLC policy... I see so much ranting about Paradox DLC, and I'm like, I've never bought a Paradox DLC I regretted. Ever. Now, maybe that's just because I got a little bit more spending money than some do, and I certainly understand some people can't view that as trivially. But as far as DLC goes, I get screwed over way more other places than Paradox.
Malorn, were you here for EU3 and Divine Wind?
I was. I didn't say anything about EU3.
No, but wouldn't you agree that Mandate of Heaven has at least as much content as Divine Wind if you're counting the patch too?
Yeah, but that was a different time. And they never count the patch. That's the thing they don't get, is that the DLC supports the patch. You have to count what came in the patch as part of the DLC that they were just kind enough to give to everybody.
And people are like, well, the patch is free and everyone gets it, but if you had the previous expansion policy, it was if you didn't buy it, you didn't get the patch either.
Yeah, you're just screwed. Yeah, I think that's a really good step in the right direction. So I guess I'm a corporate shill here. I'm not often that, but this case, I'm pretty good with Paradox's DLC policy. It's never done us any harm at all, really.
Yeah, I get a lot of value out of the DLC. I don't usually end up paying for the major DLC because they send it to me as a courtesy of the industry.
We need to figure out how to get them to do that with us, I think. That seems like a good idea.
You know what? We
buy
can't
all the
get
other
any
stuff.
donations whatsoever. So you can stream you playing our mod, but we can't accept any donations whatsoever.
Guys,
and
now is not the rant. Paradox already said they're rethinking that. Let's give them some time to do so, and we'll rant at them. Anyway. Oh, we have questions.
All right, what were your criteria for determining what should constitute a province?
Oh boy.
Principal improvements to gameplay.
Yeah, I think the major question with that is going to go... I mean, this is a question for Kickout, but he is asleep in France. Or Belgium. In Belgium, actually.
Yes, he's in Belgium.
Belgium and France, same place, right?
He's a Frenchman living in Belgium. Totally different.
Totally different. It is a long way from Normandy, too.
Even though he lives in the part of Belgium that also speaks French.
Shh. I think it comes down to a lot of provinces were done due to historical boundaries, in especially the Holy Roman Empire, things like that. Other places in China, we just split up provinces because it's just like, and if we left this province alone, it would have 500 population. That might be a balance problem. We should probably not have it do that.
Yeah, I wanted more provinces for China for a while, and the main reason China got a whole bunch is because Damien didn't like the concept of provinces starting with 200 population.
Oh, it was worse than 200. There were a couple that were insane.
Yeah.
But everyone had 200 practically. So, yeah, that's a lot of it. Other things are going to be like, you know, boundaries on the map that were historical for culture purposes, getting them to match culture boundaries, match nations. I mean, we added a lot of nations. You can't have a nation without a province.
Because we felt like it's also just a reason. So should add one to France, and Algeron's like, no, then Spain has to get one for balance reasons.
I mean, the game is broken. I just revoked a privilege from the nobles, greater nobles, and I didn't lose any stab at all. So there's clearly something wrong.
Oh my god.
Hold on, I'll fix it.
He's at +1 stability, game breaking feature. Yeah. There's a +1 there.
I mean, at this point, I'm tempted to risk it. I'm going to risk revoking another one. Why not, right? Let's
You're
do
like
this.
A gambler in Vegas. No.
Revoke authority. No, I see it. It's like I'm playing with house money here. I expect it. I'm fully prepared to lose 1 to 2 stab, and yet I didn't.
Prepared to lose, you might not. Always
so,
gamble.
Authority to govern locally. What is that one again?
That's the one that gives +5 autonomy on in each burger province.
0.05.
See, I don't even really care about the monthly autonomy. It's more about the fact that this causes yearly corruption.
You also care about the monthly autonomy. You just don't realize it yet. Trust me, you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Money.
What? Holy shit! It just said some. I got 2 in a row. No stab it. Oh, that's amazing.
Nice. Rolling those dice.
All right, let's go to Vegas. You guys ready? What plans have you guys got for sailors?
Yeah, let's do this. It's not my money. Sailors, like I said, I'm thinking timber maybe. Either way, we're either going to drastically improve them in their current role and make them actually useful, or I'm really thinking if we can, I'm going to turn them into timber. Because that would be a great limiter on ships, and it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
We have a lovely system for that already. Now, that may not be in 2.0, guys. Word of warning.
It would be nice to turn them into stab points, so people wouldn't have to keep...
No.
Ow!
Just have the number visible all the time with a easily accessible tooltip? That would be cool. Can't you hide that in the...
Possible.
I'm not sure it's possible.
Well, my thought had been, what if you got rid of sailors as a provincial variable and then you just used it as a variable that you could store in every country's tag? Like, hey, this is your X variable and we're going to use it for calculations.
Variables. The key is display parameters. Like, you're going to see that with mercantilism. As soon as we get a little bit more along with that, that's going to turn into something pretty exciting eventually, I think.
If you open up a save, a lot of your provinces will have like 30 or 50 variables.
30? Ah, yeah.
Or 50.
Okay. Oh, what we got?
Would it be possible to add a CB for Berber nations, preferably, which would allow you to take population from the enemy, not conquering provinces, but moving population from your enemy's provinces to your own?
Yes, but no. I'm no way in hell. That's so broken.
Eventually,
there will be a slave system. There will be a slave system, and Sunwoo's put a lot of work into that already, but not for 2.0. But yeah, certainly it's possible, but that might be a little crazy.
Yeah, eventually we do want a piracy estate, especially that can take slaves and take wealth from coastal provinces and such.
Yeah,
but that's a ways off.
But that would be for the explicit actual African slave trade. Like that would not just be something where you're just like, and now they're mine. No. We pretty much already covered that. In short, yeah, future development will be affected. We'll get more features to play with. They'll give us more toys, hopefully. Maybe they'll break the game horribly once again. Sometimes they do that. They generally fix it. But
how many patches have they released that didn't break at least one thing?
I'm thinking. I mean, one of our things or one of their things?
One of the things that they did in their mod breaking something in ours, or they broke something of their own.
But that's just because they don't realize we're going to do things. It's just like, wait, you did what with that? Why'd you do that? Anyway,
Oh, the AI hitting 1% corruption? Oh, it goes branded.
defenestrations of Prague. Not explicitly speaking, you can cause large-scale population removing, if that's what that is. I don't really know what the defenestrations of Prague is.
Yes, the Hussites are modeled, and I believe there are the first events for the first and the second defenestrations of Prague.
Okay. You can tell I know a lot about Prague. Not my area. Sorry, guys.
See, I thought defenestration was when you push somebody out of a window.
It is.
It is.
It is.
Is that not what that word is in that context?
It is.
Were they pushing people out of windows in Prague?
People out of windows in Prague.
The Czechs are the kind of people who you had
Wow.
to come up with the word and then the plural form for throwing someone or something out a window.
Media can answer that. Graphical change. Oh God, there's a lot.
So you said if I want to work my country toward this non-pious slider,
Yep.
It's called secularism.
Yep.
Do I want to take the decision like confiscate the manuscript to make my religious head more hostile to me?
Yeah, generally just picking a fight with your religion is a good idea, and then you get the church influence down really far, and you become a nice secular nation.
Oh, yeah, seizing their property.
Something you should keep an eye on, though, is that you know that whole thing that the church contributes to your education? Guess where they get the money to do that with?
Probably from the autonomy or something related to the
Church
provinces.
influence,
Then?
yeah. You lower church influence, and they'll contribute less money to education.
Of course, that money goes to you, so... Oh, well. There is also unrest, though. The church influence is a major unrest reduction. Now, that's not an issue for you. You're tiny, but might be later.
Oh, what is this new event? Habemus Papam. Our influence has allowed us to guide this decision to select the new pope. Why did we choose him?
I don't... Is that a vanilla event?
Hey, I'm
No, that's
papal
a Gratia.
controller. I'm papal controller. Yeah.
Congratulations.
The new pope is acceptable to us, or
Oh, I
the new
remember
pope can
this
be
one.
manipulated by us.
This one was weird.
Guarantee papal state. I don't want to do that.
Manipulated allows you to do more things that benefit you more, but also cause more Reformation desire.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's going to be the papal controller. I just don't remember what this event does. This event confused me.
So I'm papal controller. Awesome. This lets me do things. Stability increase interval.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
for changing that tooltip, by the way. Stability increase interval is much better.
Yeah, we tried really hard to find that. Your chat was somewhat helpful.
Ooh, advisor costs, yearly prestige. It's the same. This is basically all the same as vanilla, these modifiers, except for the stability increase interval, which is just reworded.
Yep.
Master of the Papal Legate.
Well, I already clicked the papal legate thing, didn't I? Oh, you updated it. I gotcha.
Yeah.
And then also, I can excommunicate and call for crusade. Excommunicate France, first order of business.
Good luck.
It's not going to happen, of course, because you can never, ever use that feature. Oh my god, the diplomatic macro builder is going to be so useful. I can excommunicate 11 people.
Oh my god. Not to get rid of your lovely excommunication universe, but smaller graphical changes. This list is so long I can't list it. I'm sorry, whoever asked this question, I'm really sorry. I mean, it's a good question, but it's such a long list. I guess if I were to say the thing on my head, and we'll have Sunwoo do one and Damien do one, just, whatever they come up with. I would say small change. I would really like to actually, it's not a graphical change, but I would really like the ability to actually have rivers function like it's a transportable thing. Like, maybe that's not a small change, but I think of it as one. It's like big rivers like the Nile. It would be really cool if your fleet could actually go up the Nile some distance. We've
Who do you think
attempted.
you are, Napoleon?
Yeah, that's madness. But you'd see the river campaigns in that's my thing. Anyway, you guys, what do you got? Throw one of them out there real quick.
Map modes would be nice, as opposed to hacking.
Oh,
the
you
trade
stole
map.
Damien's. That's not fair. Now you have to think of another one.
Oh,
okay.
this new
Where are
event.
you?
Strong.
Damien,
Papal
you got one for
sponsor.
us?
Seems to have stepped away.
Okay. How moddable is M&T to It's very moddable if you have the skills to mod it. It's not easy to mod. We have some very, very complex code. It just depends on what you want to actually mod. I know I'm sounding like a hipster here, and I apologize. I'm not like, oh, it's too complex for you. But definitely there are people, it's moddable. It's as moddable as anything is. It is very complex, but parts of it are very accessible. It just depends on what part.
There's a whole bunch of comments in there, and it's great and they're useful, but they're kind of like comments for Fortran 77.
They're very useful to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a file that's got a whole bunch of different awesome variables, and then we've got scripted triggers.
You just have to actually, yeah, it's definitely, if you're a coder, like by profession or even by hobby, you'll be fine. But casually, depends on what you want to mod. You want to mod some things, very easy. Other things, very hard. I mean, without unbalancing the game, you can still do it, but things will break.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. We provide support for large fonts and simple graphics for people who are relatively blind like me.
Support in the sense of we're going to do it? Probably not. Support in the sense that we would be very welcoming of anyone who wanted to do that and certainly throw a lot of assistance their way. Yeah, definitely we'd be behind that. But we have a lot of graphical people who are already putting in a lot of work on things. We definitely think that's a good thing. Accessibility is always really important. And we would be happy to support somebody who wanted to do that. Give them as much help as they need to do it and, walk them through stuff. But in terms of being able to do it ourselves, not right now. If we get a dedicated team member who wants to do it, yeah, that would change.
What are some ideas for the new tech system? I've seen the tech system's like totally different.
Yeah, that one confused me. The tech system really isn't that different. I clarify this for me, Arumba. What do they mean by new tech system?
I don't know. I mean, there's different levels. It goes up to like level 60.
Yeah, we go up to 60.
But
okay, that's what they mean.
It's different.
It is different. The tech system definitely is a little bit different, but it's just different modifiers at different points and longer timeline, of course. 60 techs. It goes every 10 years for the record, on the dot. And that's just the way it goes. I'm not quite understanding this question. Maybe I'm being idiotic, son.
Demian had speculated that if Paradox added certain things like add and remove text,
which they did, we might be able to do something. But yeah, that's way in the future. If it's even a good idea, who knows?
Yeah.
We have a lot to digest right now. I have a whole.
It is now possible. It is very low priority to plan out how we would do it, let alone implement it.
Yeah, it's not that broken part of the game at the moment. Okay, what mechanics or areas do you most look forward to implementing or improving? What are the future targets of development of MNT? Oh boy.
More first states.
Yeah. For one of the first development goals coming out is going to be getting tribes in there. That's going to be for 2.1. Getting and tribes, getting and freeholders into the game. Then I plan to do a lot of stuff with diplomatic events, literally sort of pulling some of the diplomacy system outside of the rigid confines of Paradox, where you'll get events where, for example, a nation right next door to you, and this is a ways off, like 3. This is months and months off. But events like, say, a very weak nation next to you, now that it can measure power, if it's very friendly to you, might ask to become your vassal. Just out of nowhere, just saying, hey, these people are going to murder me. You're nice to me. Can I be your vassal? And things like that are less through the Paradox AI and a little bit more random, where you'll see different events actually unfolding. And sort of a way to play a good guy, bad guy, not necessarily morality, but sort of like, if you're a warmongering tyrant, people around you might be scared of you, not just in forming coalitions, but actually, scared. They might seek protection from people who don't like you. They might become vassals of people you don't like. Equally, if you're a really nice nation who spends a lot of time helping out people around you, and they have a famine, you send some relief, that kind of stuff, you get the reputation of that sort of nation, a nation which is a good member of the international community, quote unquote. Or, I mean, at this point, it could be wherever size you're at, obviously. I mean, it won't be international originally. Well, definitionally it will be, but 4 nations, international, woo. But that gives you a little bit more to... It creates a more valid playstyle, for example, not war, or war, as the case may be. Just differences. But yeah, that's what I'm heading for, eventually. And then, of course, there's a lot of other stuff. That's just my personal list. I mean, we've got some pretty impressive stuff going to come up from some other people. Obviously, if Damien gets back into the game, I expect some pretty great things out of him. KGH is a brilliant coder. He's behind this. He's behind most of the fort system. He's behind bit of the institution system, the whole art power system, things like that. Eventually, maybe two-way trade is one of the goals we've been after, and I think it's possible.
Note, I think Damien went to bed.
Or he's put his daughter to bed. That's possible also.
Turns out that
a message on Slack saying heading to bed, didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to end it up pretty soon here too. I'm getting tired. We've got quite a few more questions left. A lot of people submitted really good stuff. Is there anything like really important that you were itching to address or talk about?
Let me go glance across the next questions just to make sure we don't miss anything really awesome. Yeah, these are just sort of lifestyle questions. It'd be fun to answer, but the history degree question I can answer really close. I have one. My undergrad was in history, so I think we definitely have some other people who have strongly done it. What is Gigao a professor of anyway? Is it history related? No, it's not. It's biology. But yeah, we have quite a few people with history degrees and a lot of history hobbyists, I guess is the proper term. I mean, Sunwoo practically has a history degree.
Yeah.
And it's useful as a real history degree, but Paradox, definitely some things got into Paradox at various points. Definitely, I think they kind of stole autonomy from Sunwoo's original feature, which was, what was it, provincial autonomy?
Something like that.
Yeah, PA, and then I made CE out of that, and then they made autonomy out of that. So, it's back and forth there. Paradox does help us a lot, as we mentioned already. Favorite bugs we've definitely covered. We've given a lot of people that. If there's something we go back and redo, a little more organization walking in. None of us were prepared for the scale of this. And that strain has definitely told in like Damien's vacation/retirement maybe. Definitely a lot of people have burnt out at various points. The stress on the mod has been pretty substantial at various points.
We originally planned to just do population, thought it would take 6 months.
Then
that was January last year.
Yep. We're like Paradox. Iron.
Hey, we're gonna put it out in less time than Hoi. There's gonna be less time overrun than Hoi 4.
Yeah, much faster. Would you have given a game published by Paradox, a la Dark Tower East vs. West? Well, I can say we're unlikely to be given the opportunity simply because the Magna Mundi thing went explosion on them, and they're a bit wary.
Also, East vs. West also died.
Yeah, East vs. West also died. Obviously, it's a fascinating opportunity, but transitioning from a group to, I mean, that's a big deal. It's a fascinating opportunity, and I think we do have the talent base to do it, but I'm not sure we have the organization. I mean, we would have to become a real company at that point, and that's a big transition. Full estates. We talked about estates. That's good. New moddable diplomatic features. Oh god, yes, we're going to be using those. Oh, I've been waiting for modding diplomacy forever.
It's going to be amazing.
You're Arumba. This is one I would like to hear the answer to. As someone who plays EU, vanilla EU for a bit, do you have any opinions or suggestions on the opacity of the new MNT systems? Well, you've been giving a lot of those as you played, and we've been kind of keeping up with that. But you got anything that stands out really strong, like overarching or anything like that?
Hoard your money. Don't spend money else. Like really be careful about spending money. Let your monarch points go. It feels so wrong. A lot of the decisions that I'm making right now feel backwards, and
just like,
but it's right.
Horrible, and you're not at war constantly. You're wasting the forgiveness of the world.
I know. I don't have aggressive expansion decay right now. I feel like I'm wasting it, but right now this isn't. This is an interesting thing. Like normally you can only store so many diplo points or so many whatever points, you know. But right now, if I just wait, I can store up to 1,761 military points.
Yep.
I could knock out all of culture, and then I could get a 5% tech cost and a 10% idea cost reduction, and then do leadership.
Yep.
And I just don't feel like you're never really presented with that opportunity in vanilla. It's just like
we try for options. We hope.
There's a lot more opportunity cost.
Yes, there is. You got to watch out. I can't wait for your estates to turn on you. I'm going to be laughing my ass off on that stream. I'll be honest. Your estates are going to be like,
not
why
gonna do that?
Yeah, they're going to do that. If you get
No,
big
no.
enough, they're going to do it. You're going to piss them off one
No.
too many times. They're just be like, you know what? We're going to take over the government. This guy's crap. Kick him out.
It's not true. I'm a
Do you
benevolent
remember
overlord.
bureaucratic despotism
Yeah,
in
okay,
EU3?
I'm not saying it's because you're a bad person. They're bad people. They want to do things you don't want to do. They're like, why are we expanding? I already have my golden goblets. I don't see the point. Greater nobles are assholes. They seriously, I've lost the game to greater nobles at least twice, and both times it was just like, oh no. I mean, by lost I mean effectively become incapable of being.
And then they drop death stacks on you, yeah.
Interesting countries. This is a good question for a lot of people. Interesting countries depends on what you call interesting. Obviously, province is interesting, as we've seen. Almost anything can be interesting. I would recommend staying either to Europe, the Middle East, East Africa, Indochina. India's probably okay. China's fine. Hordes, Japan, and those aren't going to be as well fleshed out at launch. But there's a lot of interesting countries out there. I mean,
Wait,
I would
Europa
recommend
has
staying
2
out of the hole.
stability? What is this nonsense?
I found a meteor and I gained stability. Now I'm kind of annoyed though.
That's not how that's supposed to
I call
No,
that...
I'm kind of annoyed because I think I was close to 2-stab anyway, and it just rounded me up like 40 stability points, and then it reset my counter.
It'll overflow.
I don't know. I just looked at the number.
It'll overflow.
Yeah, but I only have 15.835, and I think I was close.
You were close, but it will in fact do that. It's coded to do that. You will never lose it. You can even just accrue them at the top. It's retarded. You can get really ridiculously high, like stability banked. Doesn't happen very often for some reason.
Yeah, I'm at 29% loyalty with the Greater Nobles.
30 privileges you need to revoke.
It has so many privileges.
So there's opportunity cost.
Let's see. What country should a player first play? Not province.
I like this country. I think it's fun.
But come on, a first-time player? I mean, you're not a first-time player for anything. You know?
It's fair.
Trying to conquer the world. Maybe Ryuku over there. But yeah, for first-time players for M&T, I would recommend going for like Naples. Britain's a nice choice. Something where you got some time to figure out what you're doing before you're just like, oh no, everything's trying to kill me. A little bit more forgiveness there. But hey, you know, you want to jump in the deep end, I can support that.
Muscovy is definitely a viable option. There's enough small people around you that you can feed on them to get bigger.
Don't play Ireland. You think province was scary? Ha! Ha! Go play Ireland. Oh man, Ireland is a nightmare. I have a personal love of Ireland. I tend to use them to take over the world, not world conquest, but like, you know, you take over all of North America and, you know, take over, which is world conquest by our standards. Yeah, it's brutal uphill climb now. It's brutal. It's super brutal. Like, you have to do everything perfectly. If you don't, Britain eats you.
And be lucky.
Yes, and be a bit lucky. Yes, yeah. Be a little lucky. We already did mods custom music. Holy crap, we're actually getting here. We're gonna make it. Arumba and devs, what is your favorite aspect of the mod, either from playing standpoint or to the devs from a coding standpoint? Hey, I have playing standpoints, but we'll let Arumba go first. It's his channel.
I enjoy the money, honestly. I think that's the most interesting part. I just hope that the AI can compete. Like, having money actually matter is completely different from anything that I'm used to in this game. Money's always been it's a gold sink. Everything in the game is a gold sink. Buildings are gold sink. Reinforcement costs, gold sink. Yep. It's just trying to remove it, and in this, it's different. You just never feel like you have enough. So, it's good.
Well, I hope the AI can compete. I sincerely hope the AI can compete. That new AI building system, I've seen the AI put together quite a lot of money sometimes. Sometimes I've been looking at them as like, how do you get that money? I want that money.
They cheated, of course.
No, actually, we actually removed a lot of the base AI cheats. I mean, you put it on very hard. It's cheating like a dirty poker player. But It's definitely on easy. It only has a very few baseline. Like, it's got an extra diplomat. It's got a few other things, but it's cheating a lot less than Paradox's AI, actually. At least at normal.
That's because there's a lot less Paradox AI left. We wrote our own.
Yes, that helps. Let's see. We are almost there. My favorite aspect, and we'll get ready because you're up next. Is actually in playing. I absolutely adore the nature of war in this game. I know that sounds kind of odd because it's something we didn't focus on that much. But the whole idea that nations can have a difference between offensive and defensive power with your estates, and the siege system changes, even some of the naval AI changes that we've tried to get in there have helped a bit. I've seen a lot more moments where I actually felt like like Arumba, you ran into that with Bob, which admittedly you were just doing pretty classic screw with the AI being an idiot about that, and I wish we could fix that. I really do wish we could. But other times, I guess I just feel more like I'm fighting a real war and less like I'm just planning conquests. I've had wars go wrong for me, and that was really exciting to me because I was the kind of player who in most games I don't really lose very often. And Arumba, you're better than I am by far. I've seen you play, but yeah, it's fun to have a situation go wrong sometimes where it's just like, oh, I see what happened there. It didn't just go wrong because it randomly screwed me. I see how this happened, but at the same time, it was interesting. It forces me to up my game. It forces me to do better, to be smarter. Pulling something off becomes more exciting suddenly. Like, first thing I'm probably going to do is play Ireland and be like, I want to control this. And if I can do that, I'll feel amazing because that's practically impossible right now. I mean, it's possible. I've done it, but that'll feel really good. That'll feel really like a huge triumph to me. So that's what it is. Son, go for it. What do you like the most? Playing or coding? Well,
I kind of get more playtime experience than most of the other people because I'm doing QA. So I'm constantly sometimes like replaying wherever people are adding mechanics, finding bugs. Just ask Malorn about how many bugs I find. Lots of them. Sometimes it can get pretty repetitive. Some countries I've played like 40 times that first 50 years. So yeah, but I think one of the things I actually like is how I can build up a country and make it relevant, and it actually can make sense how I'm doing it. So like you can play Norway and it's a case of it's a backwater with mountains and got no population, but if you leverage your population, go in raids and stuff and get loot and you build up your country.
Basically you're playing CK2 then.
But most of the time I actually play like a builder. I think Scotland is a pretty popular...
You did some amazing stuff with Scotland. I saw that game. Yeah.
Which one of them? Because I've played it several times. Scotland in this game is a backwater. It's got like 50 population, counting the Kingdom of the Isles, which is like 3 provinces at 1 population each. No. So you literally don't start with a single urban population. You're dirt poor. You've got like 1 farmland province, and turning it into an actual relevant country, which is great.
So yeah, that's where we are. Last one's you, Arumba. Are you going to do an M&T series? We're curious too, and I think you answered that earlier. But if you want to revisit it,
I'm just waiting on the 1.21 release. That's the only thing stopped me, honestly. I just know that they pushed it out so quick, and I think it's because there were a lot of bugs in 1.20. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. I'm enjoying it. It's going to be a long campaign, I can tell you that.
Soldier on. Okay, so we are actually at the end. Do we have any major chat questions we want to throw out here? I can give it another, 10 minutes.
Well, they turned into Rome 2, Shogun 2.
Yeah, the chat has wandered a bit, as chats are wont to do. Reminds me of a forum thread on our forums, actually.
Yeah.
Our hype thread. Oh, man. It's honorable mention to our hype thread. People are insane. You're a bane to existence. What, you thought this was going to be positive? It's a hype thread. You know me. I'm the mean one. I'm the one who comes and tells you, no, that's not going to happen. No. That's me. You want to go talk to Damien? He's the one who's like, "Oh, we can totally do everything. It'll be great." I'm the
He's
bad
like
man.
an expiring Jim Jones sometimes.
But yeah, I'm the guy who says no, and that makes me super popular on the forums sometimes. But no, Hype Thread has been pretty nice this time. You guys didn't start talking about Hitler like the last Hype Thread we had to close down. Thanks for not doing that. It's really sad that I have to say thanks for that. So yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some special snowflake stuff on the forums.
Okay. Arumba, any last questions for us? Questions from chat? Anything like that?
No, I'm just really liking how this campaign is just turning out. I'm really into it right now.
You're liking it. We also really appreciate some of the feedback you've been giving us. I wanted to mention that, actually. I mentioned it in chat once, but I'll mention it again now. It really helps to see the game through your eyes. Because obviously we know all of this. So there's stuff that we would not have thought of, like, oh, you need to do this, but I know when this is going to happen. I coded this. I know exactly when it's going to happen. And
yeah.
Sun Wu may not have coded it, but she's played with it more than anybody else in the world at this point. I mean, she has more hours in MNT 2.0 than anybody else, period. And that'll probably stay true for a few months at least.
I have legit logged at least 500 hours of playtime.
Well, to be fair, it's a little bit of pool. But yeah, it's the thing. Malorn, can you elaborate how multiplayer works? You said it's better, but any more details? Sure, I can throw a little bit at that. How to put this? Multiplayer works the same way in terms of, like, you know, basic mechanics, obviously. But the main thing with multiplayer is that you can't blob as big. So you're not going to inevitably run into each other. I can play multiplayer games where I won't see people. I played one game with a couple of the other devs. I think it was Inkus, a few other people. And bunches of us started in different clusters, and I never saw anyone from the other cluster, and we got into like 1700. And it was just like, oh, look, I just saw England. For the first, I was playing England, and it was just like, I sailed past, I think it was somewhere in India where someone was playing, and they're just like, oh, an English boat! Whoa! And I was like, oh, look, wow, this is what the humans have been doing down here. How interesting. It's much more isolating when you're far away from each other. I mean, that changes, the world feels big. And that's a big change for multiplayer, I think, is that it doesn't feel small quickly. I mean, it will eventually be, but it takes time.
Are you suggesting they won't be able to blob at the rate of one province a year?
Oh, you can totally get one province per year. That's totally possible if you're China. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, actually, special mechanics so it can blob like crazy at the beginning.
Well, China will blob to its historical borders very rapidly, but after that actually gets hit with blobbing. But yeah, they have a very strong unity thing. If China ever gets pulled apart, the first thing that all of the people who own parts of China will do is try to conquer the rest of China, because there is one Middle Kingdom, one China.
One China policy, even in EU4.
Yep.
Even if Trump can't understand it, it's been consistent all the way to EU4.
No, you step away from the politics. Bad, Sun Wu. Away from the politics. I already mentioned Hitler. We're already past our quota.
Well, I think this is a good spot for me to stop playing, because I see a very interesting upcoming war, potentially. I think it's time to call the Aragonese people into a big war against Venice.
Oh, wow, that's a heck of a lot of allies. That's going to be a war.
That looks like it's going to be fun.
I assessed it just a second ago while you guys were chit-chatting, and I mean, I'm looking at it, and he's going to call in these fellas up here. Like, they're so distant and scattered and shattered. It's just not going to be an issue.
Hamburg and Lubeck, I just don't see.
Yeah, they're not going to. They're going to trickle in. It's going to be bad.
The fact that the Emperor is actually, for some silly, dumb reason, the Palatinate means that they won't have military access through the Empire. So good freaking luck actually getting down here. Like, I don't even say that they can't get down here. So we're gonna go sack Venezia, which I just saw has
you might get a bit of money out of that.
5,500 ducats in infrastructure, 850.
You know, I really think you shouldn't be playing province. You need to go play a horde.
This just looks so juicy.
Once we finish
Timor, go play Timor after we finish Timor.
Play a horde.
Just be like,
He
murder!
needs much blood
Don't
for the
play a horde
blood
now.
god, skulls for the skull throne as he wants.
Yes, we should make pyramids of skulls, apparently. Thank you very
That
much.
would be Timur.
We appreciate you lending your channel to this lovely little interview. Really great to be able to answer some questions. For the chat, if you guys want to head over to our forum, we are one of the major sub-forums underneath modding. We're in fact one of the 2 major sub-forums. That would be...
You mean like our sub-forum has literally half of the posts in the...
Not half. No, we looked at those. We actually have a legitimately like 20% of the forum activity of the EU forums, by the way.
Well, for the EU4 modifications thing, I think we're sitting at like 48 or 49%.
Crazy high on that. Anyway, you're welcome to go in, check for stuff. We browse the forums a lot. We answer forums a lot. There's never going to be situations where you go that long without a response from one of us, at least. Sometimes from many of us. Sometimes you get to watch us argue with each other in forums. That's happened a couple of times where it's like, we did this. No, we didn't do that. You're crazy. Yes, we did do that. No, we didn't do that. But thanks a lot, Arumba. It was really nice of you to host this, and I'm glad you're having fun.
Yeah, I'll definitely be playing it again, possibly even tomorrow. We'll see.
How long are you planning to play tonight?
I'm gonna have to wrap it up now. I'm exhausted at this point. But
is important.
Tomorrow, this looks like a very fun war. I think I can make a ton of money. Build a university. I want to sack that stupid... I excommunicated Venice. Unfortunately, I can't do anything about it because I don't border him, and apparently my subjects bordering him via sea tile does not give him a claim using the excommunication CB, sadly.
No, sadly not.
But he's doing weird things too. Like, in general, he had a diplomatic insult on somebody else. I just can't seem to use his CBs.
Setting up a Discord server. You mean for us to chat with fans? It's something to consider. We haven't really thought about it the most. We tend to be pretty not so chatty people, but Damien's starting some streaming.
By Paradox policy, that would also technically qualify as a forum.
Yeah,
I talked to them, and at one point we're like, so can we have like a GitHub with tickets? No, because a bug report system would qualify as a forum.
I think it's great that you guys are offering yours, but I think Arumba might want his Discord for things that aren't M&T, possibly, in his life. He's got a living to make here. Anyway.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me. If anyone has any questions, again, they are available on the forums, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this rolls out in about 10 or so days. Hoping that it can come out on time. That is. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we have pretty good hopes for that. You take care. Have a good night, and thanks, chat. Thanks for being good. I didn't see anything horrible.
All right. Thanks, guys. I'll see you guys later.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Twitch. I am Beats. Thank you guys for coming and asking great questions. I do apologize that we weren't able to focus as much on Twitch chat as I wanted to. It turns out that 97 plus questions that have already been kind of parsed and validated and stuff that's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. And here I was thinking, oh yeah, it'll take like an hour or two. We'll get through them all. No, it's been 3 hours and 20 minutes or whatever so far, and we had to skip basically the last third. But anyway, I am really liking this campaign. I'm really liking this specific campaign, not just the mod. I was barely able to pay much attention to what was going on, but basically, 20 years apiece? Integrated another dude, picked up a bunch of subjects, didn't do anything else, built a bunch of boats, stole Venice's money. It's good. It's fun. I mean, it feels so impactful. The small decisions that you make as a tiny nation are actually, they're important. They're shaping this area of the world. And moving forward, I definitely plan on expanding. I wanted to attack Florence. Don't particularly want to attack these guys, though. I only have enough favors for one with that guy. We could act 4 times. We could pull Montferrat into a thing. Montferrat. We'll see. I'm going to think about it over between the break, between now and the next time we play. I'm actually also thinking about killing Duke Louis if he doesn't die soon. Just because he's got morale of armies. Interesting. So he's Craven strategist. Weird. The flamboyant schemer diplomatic relations, though, appeals to me because I need diplo points, and I pushed it to the limit. I went 3 over the relationship limit just to see if vassals were far, far more important than anything else, which is what I expect is true, and it seems to have played out pretty well. Of course, going to be the Curia control was a pretty nice blessing in disguise, right? We'll see. Anyway, gotta go and wrap it up here. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you soon.